Chapter 854. Shu Chan, who was in the early stage of the King Realm, was facing Shi, who was in the late stage of the King Realm. Both parties engaged in a duel at the trading plaza of the sacred city of Five Emperors, which attracted hundreds of spectators from afar. This kind of duel was not very attractive to them, but they could relax a little in the midst of their nervousness. No one thought that Shu Chan could be a match for Shi, the genius of the Watermoon Sword sect. No one even knew who Shu Chan was. In their opinion, this woman was just a female cultivator who wanted to take the opportunity to get close to Shi. There were at least 80,000 female cultivators like this in the holy city of the Five Emperors. This woman definitely can't take one move from Shi. After all, the gap between their martial arts realms is too big. You don't understand Shi at all. This guy is famous for being cruel. No matter what advantage he has, he will not defeat his opponent in one move. He will use different methods to torture his opponent. That's right. Fighting with Shi will be this woman's biggest mistake. This way, not only will she not get Shi's appreciation, she will also lose face. Rumor has it that there was a female cultivator who angered Shi. As a result, Shi tore her clothes to shreds in front of everyone. Everyone in the city admired her white body. TSK, TSK. Everyone was discussing, but it did not affect Shu Chan's mood at all. Since she proposed a battle, she was naturally not without confidence. She had never heard of Shi, but she knew that the Watermoon Sword sect was one of the 6 sects and 10 countries in the holy city of the Five Emperors. The geniuses from the Watermoon Sword sect were definitely very strong. What's more, Shi was ranked in the top 100 among the younger generation of the Watermoon Sword sect. His strength was even more unfathomable. With the long sword in his hand, Shi wore a smile on his face. His eyebrows were straight like swords, and his eyes were bright like stars. He was extremely charismatic. He took a step forward and faced off against Shu Chan. As the saying goes, a good man does not fight with a woman. But since you took the initiative to challenge me, I shall grant you your wish. I will let you have 3 moves first. Consider a chance for you, and to commend your courage. Shu Chan's expression did not change. She indifferently lifted her hand, and Azura Divine runes rapidly condensed in her palm, condensing into a jet-black beam of light that instantly wrapped around Shi. This move was extremely fast, so fast that even Shi could not react in time. Innate skill, Azura Grip. Long Yu watched from the side, and he nodded in his heart. He didn't think that after such a long time, Shu Chan would be able to cultivate this innate skill into an advanced level skill. After he entered the illusion world of the Five Emperors, he managed to cultivate 3 advanced level skills. But now, Shu Chan already had at least 2 advanced level skills. Azura Grip, after the innate skill became an advanced level skill, its speed was extremely fast. It was almost as fast as the speed of light. In an instant, it wrapped around Shi. Then, Shu Chan cast another innate skill without hesitation. It was also an advanced level skill, Azura Absolute Light. An Azura Divine rune condensed into a beam of light that arrived less than half a breath time from the Azura's grasp. Shi was a bit surprised that she had actually managed to trap him, but before he could react, he was struck by the Azura's absolute light. A tyrannical strength erupted, sending Shi tumbling backwards. Dang, dang, dang. Shi immediately retreated 40 to 50 steps back, and the surrounding martial cultivators behind him quickly retreated as well, giving him space to fight. Haha, impressive. A mere early-stage king-level cultivator has mastered 2 advanced-level skills. What a surprise. Shi laughed and said, "One more, what else can you do?" As the Azura Divine runes faded away, Shu Chan's expression changed. Even Duguijian, Feng Xiaofei, and Feng Haofeng's expressions changed. The 2 attacks just now could be said to be Shu Chan's strongest attacks. Shu Chan had used these attacks to defeat a mid-stage king-level cultivator. But against Shi, who was a late-stage king-level cultivator, these 2 attacks were far from enough. Although Izishur was hit by the 2 attacks, he did not suffer much damage. His mortal body was already terrifyingly tough. Even if he just stood there and let Shu Chan attack him, he would not suffer any damage. Plate, kill him. In the next second, Shu Chan gritted her teeth and took out a great desolate grade mid-rank combat weapon. It was the primordial Azura compass. But this time, the primordial Azura compass was completely different from the one Long Yu had seen before. Perfect synchronization. Shu Chan and the primordial Azura compass have reached the highest level. Long Yu, who was watching the battle from his side, was stunned. This scene was too shocking. The desolate Azura compass seemed to have a mind of its own as it rapidly flew towards Izishur, launching an attack. Only then did Long Yu remember that this desolate Azura compass was a battle weapon that Shu Chan had obtained since she was a child. After 10 years of cooperation, she had finally reached an unparalleled level of compatibility with this battle weapon. In order to improve the synchronization with a combat weapon, not only did it require time, but it also required special enlightenment at a special moment. Perfect synchronization with the primordial Azura compass. Even if it was only a great desolate grade mid-rank combat weapon, its power was still greater than ordinary high-rank combat weapons, such as the long sword in Izishur's hand. Countless pitch-black Azura chains extended out from the primordial Azura compass, coiling around Izishur's body. It was obvious that the chains were trying to lock Izishur up. This was Shu Chan's unparalleled fusion skill with the primordial Azura compass. Even Izishur felt a strong sense of threat from these black Azura chains. Perfect synchronization with a combat weapon. I've underestimated you. Izishur's expression changed. He no longer cared about giving Shu Chan 3 attacks. The long sword in his hand danced in the air, displaying the high desolate grade sword skill of the Water Moon Sword sect. The translucent Water Moon Sword chi flew in all directions, blocking off the pitch-black Azura chains. However, even though it was a high-ranked Great Desolate Realm sword art combined with a high-ranked Great Desolate Realm combat weapon, it still couldn't completely repel the primordial Azura compass. It could only barely defend itself. This scene fell into the eyes of the surrounding crowd, causing a wave of hissing. This Izishur doesn't live up to his name. Just now, that girl easily knocked him back 40 to 50 steps with just 2 attacks, and now he's having trouble dealing with a mere combat weapon, too weak. What do you know? That girl obviously has some real skills, but there's still a huge gap between her and Izishur. Can't you see that Izishur is just toying with her? Toying with her? I remember that Izishur said that he would give his opponent 3 attacks. But now, when a 3rd attack comes, he actually attacked without caring about what he said. What a thick skin he has. Many people were dissatisfied with Izishur. These discussions enraged Izishur. The long sword in his hand finally exploded. Water Moon Sword's wrath shattered the sky, pierced the rainbow. 10 million rays of sword energy instantly erupted, scattering in all directions. In an instant, the black Azura chains of the desolate Azura compass were completely shattered. Then, these 10 million rays of sword energy shot towards Shu Chan, condensing into a giant sword in midair. Divine power, shadow, butterfly. When Shu Chan saw this, she immediately used her evasion technique, dark shadow butterfly transformation. Her entire body turned into a pitch-black butterfly and tore through the void. In the next moment, she appeared hundreds of feet away. The giant Water Moon Sword's chi instantly bombarded the hard ground of the trading plaza, but it didn't hit Shu Chan. He had used a technique to seal the space, but Shu Chan still managed to escape. This result made Izishur even angrier. How could this girl, who was merely at the early stage of the King Realm, have so many tricks up her sleeves? Water Moon Sword's wrath. It's actually Water Moon Sword's wrath. It's said that this is an upper desolation level martial skill that can only be used when one has reached the Transcendent Realm. In an instant, a terrifying power can be unleashed. Not to mention an early stage of the King Realm. Even a late stage of the King Realm would be in great trouble. But that girl dodged it so easily. What kind of trick is that? Just now, I felt a strong power to seal the space. The space around that girl must have been sealed. Some divine powers can penetrate the seal of space. Obviously, this girl has such a trick. It's amazing. Unfortunately, she's only at the early stage of the king realm. She's going to lose this time. Just as most people had guessed, Izishur used Water Moon Sword's wrath again after his attack failed. Even if it consumed a lot of energy, this move could definitely kill his opponent. Shu-chan was only at the early stage of the king realm. In the face of the same move, she couldn't use the shadow butterfly again in a short period of time. At this moment, she was probably going to die. Water Moon Sword's wrath broke the sky, but this time, it didn't condense into a giant sword. Instead, it attacked Shu-chan from all directions, and it even sealed all her vitality. Shu-chan's eyes were extremely calm, but under such circumstances, she really couldn't resist it. Defensive methods would definitely not be able to withstand it. Only the shadow butterfly could. However, she wasn't at the intermediate stage of the king realm, so she couldn't use the same divine powers and martial skills continuously in a short period of time. I admit defeat. Shu-chan stood on the spot and said calmly. The opponent was much stronger than her, so there was nothing shameful about admitting defeat. But hearing this, Izishur, who was attacking, smiled sinisterly. He heard Shu-chan's admit defeat, but pretended not to hear it. He raised his hand and countless sword chi surged towards Shu-chan, wanting to kill her on the spot. Such an action instantly attracted a burst of hissing from the crowd. This Izishur was really abnormal. His opponent admitted defeat and still insisted on killing her. Wasn't he too shameless? In the holy city of the five emperors, arranged battles often happened, but there weren't many deaths. After all, it was the holy city of the five emperors, so everyone would be restrained. But Izishur, with his status, wanted to kill Shu-chan at all costs. Since it was an arranged battle, so what if he killed her? The alliance of five emperors wouldn't go to the extent of finding trouble with Water Moon Sword sect for a mere early-stage king realm female cultivator. Chapter 855. Long Yu restrained himself and didn't attack, because as soon as Qin Yashuang and Zisu appeared, a white gale blew into the battlefield, and it actually condensed into a wall of wind that protected Shu-chan at the center. The Water Moon Sword Fury's sword energy arrived, but it was blocked by the wind wall. It couldn't move forward at all. Who dares to ruin my plans? Izishur's expression changed slightly. When he saw that it was Qin Yashuang and Zisu, he said darkly, "So it's two King Realm intermediate stage women. You two broke someone else's battle, but were you prepared to face me?" In the Five Emperors' holy city, martial cultivators could arrange a duel. But if the duel was ruined, the duelist could issue an unconditional challenge to the person who ruined it. The person who ruined it didn't have the right to refuse. Therefore, when Izishur saw Qin Yashuang and Zisu, he immediately wanted to attack them. After all, they were only at the middle stage of the king's stage. Although they had blocked his Aquasalenic Sword Fury, it didn't mean that they could defeat Izishur. Even if it was 1 against 2, Izishur wasn't afraid at all. Since Qin Yashuang and Zisu appeared, they were definitely prepared. Qin Yashuang snorted coldly. A dignified late-stage king realm expert actually bullied a weak girl in public. What a disgrace. Zisu, let's go. Zisu nodded. She raised her hand, and a white storm swept out, enveloping her and Qin Yashuang. The surrounding onlookers became even more interested, and there were even many people who recognized them. Weren't these two girls the ones who were related to Long Yu? These two girls were originally from the Qin family. They were supposed to be married to Nine Sons' sex genius, Lan Shuyan. But 4 months ago, Lan Shuyan lost to Long Yu in the illusion realm of the Five Emperors. They're actually Long Yu's people. Does that mean the girl who was bullied by Izishur is related to Long Yu? Who knows? However, that brat Long Yu hasn't appeared for a long time. Although he has become the direct disciple of the Scarlet Emperor, he should be working hard in his cultivation right now. He might not appear here to help. That's right. Long Yu is a genius, but his martial realm is too low. He's definitely trying his best to increase his martial realm. Why would he appear here? These two girls are in danger. If they are killed in this duel, even the five emperors themselves don't have the right to punish Izishur. When Qin Yishuang and Zisu fought against Izishur, the surrounding people became even more excited. More and more martial cultivators gathered around, including many members of the major factions in the Five Emperors Sacred City, such as the young genius disciples of the Nine Suns sect. There were also a few people who came to observe the battle. The genius of Nine Suns sect, Lan Xuyin, did not choose to join the alliance of five emperors after the Illusion Realm battle of the five emperors. Instead, he chose to stay in Nine Suns sect. He had already broken through to the early stage of the Emperor realm. At this moment, Lan Xuyin was leading a group of Nine Suns sect disciples to observe the situation of the battle. Senior Brother Lan, I didn't expect it to be those two cheese. It's a surprise to see them here. It looks like they're going to teach Izishur a lesson. Those two cheese actually joined Long Yu's side. They really don't respect Senior Brother Lan. Now that Long Yu isn't here, they still dare to be arrogant. They're asking for death, the juniors said as they tried to please Lan Xuyin. Lan Xuyin was wearing a blue robe. He looked at the battlefield with a hint of delight. Not bad. Those two girls really don't know what's good for them. They're actually going against Izishur. Although Izishur isn't a genius expert, he's already an extremely powerful existence to those two girls. They want to defeat Izishur in their dreams. Following Lan Xuyin's words, the three of them finally started fighting. Qin Yishuang and Zisu had a white storm swirling around them. It had strong defensive abilities and decent offensive abilities. It could also increase the two women's speed. This was one of Zisu's innate techniques. She had already comprehended it to a high-level technique, White Snow Wind. White Snow Wind could be used on anyone. After using it, there would be a white storm revolving around them. It would increase their speed and also provide a certain amount of offensive and defensive abilities. Qin Yashuang and Zisu were enveloped by the White Snow Wind. Their speed suddenly became extremely fast. In a short distance, it wasn't any slower than teleportation. As for Izishur, he kept waving the great desolate rank long sword in his hand. Sword energy flew everywhere. He couldn't even hit Qin Yashuang and Zisu. This made him quite annoyed. He raised his hand and the wrath of the water moon condensed again. Thousands of transparent sword energy enveloped the battlefield. The two girls couldn't dodge it. Zisu saw this and raised her hand. She condensed the power of the ice god rune. It formed an ice ball and enveloped Qin Yashuang and herself. The tens of thousands of sword cheese bombarded the ice ball, causing it to explode. However, the exploding ice ball also blocked the tens of thousands of sword cheese. They actually blocked it? Izishur's expression changed. The water moon sword was a very powerful technique. In terms of destructive power, it was definitely one of the best techniques he had mastered. However, it was easily blocked by the two girls. Everyone present was shocked by this scene. They didn't think that the two girls could be so strong. They could easily block Izishur's attack. There was obviously a difference of one martial realm between them. Only Long Yu, with his martial arts secret technique, could see the clues. The defensive ice ball wasn't created by Zisu alone. After Zisu condensed the ice ball, Qin Yashuang also injected her power into it. The two girls worked together. The defensive power of the ice ball increased by 4 to 5 times. Because of this, it was able to block Izishur's attack. If it was a coincidence that they were able to protect Shuchan at the beginning, then now they were able to block Izishur. The cooperation between Qin Yashuang and Zisu showed their true power. This kind of joint attack technique is not bad. The effect is actually so good. Long Yu was a little interested in the two girls. The two girls had been training outside since they were young. They accepted missions, exterminated bandits, killed exotic beasts. They had experienced countless life and death tribulations. If they didn't have special methods, it was hard to believe that they could live until now. Now, Long Yu finally saw the methods of the two girls. The two girls worked together. Even if they were to fight against Ezeshur, who was one martial realm higher than them, they wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Ezeshur decided to use his origin power. A late-stage king realm expert had already fused with a true spirit in their inner world. Everyone's origin power was different. As a disciple of the Water Moon Sword sect, Ezeshur's true spirit was a sword. Therefore, his origin power could condense into sword energy and attach it to his combat weapon. It could increase the power of his combat weapon by 10 times. Sword origin, Ezeshur shouted. The surface of the combat weapon in his hand was covered with a layer of white light. It made the entire sword 3 times bigger. Its power was far greater than before. Again, Water Moon Sword Fury. Ezeshur waved the sword in his hand. Thousands of sword energy condensed again. You used the same method 4 times. Do you still think it will work? Even if the power is increased, it's just another method. Qin Shuang chuckled. She and Zisu's figures flickered. Taking advantage of the fact that the thousands of sword energy had not completely condensed, they split into 2 directions and attacked Ezeshur. Want a sneak attack? Unfortunately, the Water Moon Sword Fury speed is much faster than you think. Ezeshur sneered. He waved the sword in his hand. Thousands of sword energy flew towards the 2 girls. In the next moment, the 2 girls' figures became illusory. They instantly became faintly discernible. They didn't use any defensive methods. They just passed by Ezeshur in an instant. The 2 girls didn't do anything. They just passed by Ezeshur. However, because of this, the thousands of sword cheese target was originally the 2 ladies, but at this moment, it was directed towards Ezeshur's position. The Water Moon Sword Fury's speed was too fast. However, the 2 girls were even faster. Their bodies were covered in layers of white wind. In Ezeshur's eyes, they only left afterimages. The thousands of sword energy of the Water Moon Sword Fury didn't have time to change directions. They all bombarded Ezeshur's body. Instantly, Ezeshur's entire body was shrouded by sword energy. The sword energy flew everywhere and raised a large amount of dust. After a breath's time, Ezeshur stumbled out. He coughed nonstop. His clothes were ragged. Instantly, it caused the surrounding people to boo. He was actually injured by his own move. How stupid. Just as Qin Shuang said, the same move was used 4 times. Could it be that she still couldn't find a way to break it? As long as she had a speed faster than the sword energy, she could easily attract the sword energy to Ezeshur's body. Zisu's high-level technique, White Wind, was simply a godly technique. It could be stacked without limit. It could increase the cultivator's speed without limit. The 3 stacks of White Wind allowed the 2 girls' speed to completely surpass the Water Moon Sword Fury's thousands of sword energy. Unfortunately, there was a time limit to this stacking. Each stack of White Wind could only last for 10 breaths of time. Even if Zisu could stack it once per breath, she could only stack 10 stacks at most. However, the speed of stacking 10 stacks was already extremely terrifying. Right now, she was stacking herself and Qin Shuang at the same time. She easily stacked 5 stacks of White Wind. The 2 girls were as fast as lightning. There weren't many people present who could catch a glimpse of the 2 girls. Without exception, they were all Emperor Realm experts. Even the 9 Suns sect's genius, Lan Shuyin, could barely see the 2 girls' figures. When Ezeshur broke away from his own attack, he was faced with such a situation, causing his face to turn gloomy. With such a fast speed, he couldn't catch up to the 2 girls. At the very least, the Water Moon Sword Fury was definitely ineffective. I seal. I split. The 2 girls had worked together for many years. They had experienced countless battles since they were young. They were already very familiar with each other's fighting style. They used their middle-level techniques at almost the same time. I seal. I split. Chapter 856. I seal. Boundless ice divine characters condensed around the injured Ezeshur, sealing his entire body in a large block of ice. Ice crack. The large piece of ice immediately cracked open, and a tyrannical tearing force acted on Izisher's body, creating many wounds on his body. Even the body of a late-stage king realm cultivator couldn't withstand the power of these two mid-level divine abilities. The surrounding crowd pointed at the scene. Without a doubt, the explosive power of Qin Yashuang and Zisu had shocked everyone. Most importantly, the combination of these two women's martial skills and divine abilities was simply too seamless. Even people of the same cultivation level wouldn't be able to find any flaws in it. Again, ice seal, ice crack. The two women worked together, and the ice divine characters swept across the scene. It looked like Izisher was going to be frozen and torn apart again. However, at this moment, a cold snort came from the side. Then, a ray of sword light descended from the sky as if it wanted to tear apart the sky and earth. It directly cut the boundless ice divine characters that were attacking Izisher. Then, a young man wearing a green robe appeared in front of the two women and blocked Izisher's way. To bully a junior brother of my Watermoon Sword sect with numbers, the two of you deserve to die 10,000 times over. There was a layer of darkness between the young man's brows as he looked at Qin Yashuang and Zisu. Everyone could feel his murderous intent towards the two women. Mid-stage Emperor Realm. This young man was actually an initial Emperor Realm cultivator, and he didn't look very old either. It was obvious that this person was a true genius of the Watermoon Sword sect. He couldn't be mentioned in the same breath as a half-baked trash like Izisher. There was a huge difference between the Emperor Realm and the King Realm. It wasn't just the difference in basic strength. An Emperor Realm cultivator's inner world would give birth to a spirit, which would allow the inner world to evolve on its own. It could continuously evolve into the sun, moon, stars, rivers, mountains, and rivers, and possess greater strength. Although the spirit of an ordinary Emperor Realm cultivator's inner world wouldn't be too strong, it still had a spirit. Just this strand of spirit was enough to suppress an ordinary King Realm cultivator. It's Zheng'an. He's one of the top 10 young geniuses of the Watermoon Sword sect. It's said that his talent is terrifying. He once stepped into the illusion of the 5 emperors and reached the 15th level. Even Zheng'an made a move. But this Izisher is too useless. He said he's a genius of the Watermoon Sword sect, but he can't even handle 2 ordinary girls. What a disgrace. Now that Zheng'an has appeared, these 2 girls can't play anymore. They're not on the same level. 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 I think Zheng'an is of the same level. Moreover, it is said that Zheng'an is extremely ruthless. It is not the first or second time he has ruthlessly destroyed flowers. It seems that because he was once betrayed by a woman, he is very cruel to women and never shows mercy. The Watermoon Sword sect's expert, Zheng'an's appearance caused Qin Yashuang and Zisu's expressions to change. The 2 girls still had some confidence in dealing with Izisher, who was in the late stage of the King Realm, but they definitely had no chance against Zheng'an, who had already stepped into the Emperor Realm. As soon as Zheng'an appeared, Sword Qi immediately surrounded him, causing his entire aura to be piercingly cold and his killing intent to be extremely strong. Long Yu knew that it was about time for him to appear. However, just as he was about to walk out, he saw an unexpected person walk into the field. Lan Shuyan of the Nine Suns sect. Lan Shuyan's eyes were filled with disdain for Zheng'an. He stepped into the arena and said indifferently, "I, Lan Shuyan, will protect these 2 women. You're called Zheng'an, right? I've heard of your name. However, compared to me, Lan Shuyan, you're still lacking a lot. You should know this yourself." When Lan Shuyan stood out, everyone present was shocked. Long Yu watched with interest. He wanted to see what Lan Shuyan wanted to do. Qin Yashuang and Zisu looked at each other. They could see the doubt in each other's eyes. It was obvious that the 2 women didn't know what Lan Shuyan wanted to do. As for the others, they were happy to see Lan Shuyan stand out. One had to know that Lan Shuyan had stepped in the 19th level of the 5 Emperors fantasy world and almost became the personal disciple of the 5 Emperors. His talent was extremely high and definitely surpassed Zheng'an's. In addition, Lan Shuyan actually stood out to help Long Yu's people? Could it be that Lan Shuyin and Long Yu were secretly in contact? Zheng En looked at Lan Shuyin, and the killing intent in his eyes didn't diminish. This is our Moonsword sect's matter. If Nine Suns sect wants to get involved, I will report to the sect. As for now, Lan Shuyin, get out of my way. These two women dare to attack my sect's genius. Easy sure. They must die. Listening to Zheng En's tough words, Lan Shuyin frowned slightly. However, he quickly relaxed his brows. He didn't even turn his head and said to Qin Yashuang and Zi Su condescendingly, "You two women, if you are willing to serve me, Lan Shuyin, from now on, I, Lan Shuyin, will protect you even if I have to offend the Moonsword sect. Otherwise, I will no longer care about this matter." You can also see that Zheng En is very happy to kill women. As soon as he said this, the surrounding people immediately went into an uproar. They finally knew Lan Shuyin's purpose. He actually wanted to poach them. While Long Yu wasn't here, he wanted to poach Long Yu's two women. In such a situation, if the two women didn't agree, they would probably be torn into pieces by Zheng En from the Moonsword sect. This scene was really interesting. Originally, it was just a fight for a great desolate level high rank combat weapon. Now, it had developed into a secret fight between Lan Shuyin and Long Yu. If the two women really agreed to follow Lan Shuyin and serve him, then it would obviously make Long Yu lose a lot of face. Riding to Lan Shuyin like this could be considered as winning against Long Yu. Although Lan Shuyin had lost to Long Yu once in the illusion world of the Five Emperors, he still didn't admit that he was weaker than Long Yu. He would definitely surpass Long Yu and show the Five Emperors who was the real genius. That was why he'd stepped into the Emperor realm without hesitation and didn't stop at the late stage of the King realm. After all, he'd originally intended to participate in the battle of the strongest King realm a year later, while still in the late stage of the King realm. In the strongest King realm competition, Lan Shuyin was very confident. Now that he had stepped into the Emperor realm, he could only participate in the strongest Emperor realm competition. After the strongest King realm competition, there would be the strongest Emperor realm competition. The two competitions will be held consecutively. Compared to the strongest King realm competition, the strongest Emperor realm competition wasn't as exciting. It was only 7 years since the last strongest Emperor realm competition, so the top 10 strongest Emperor realm competition wouldn't change. Although Lan Shuyin had stepped into the Emperor realm with his strength, it would be very difficult for him to enter the top 100 strongest Emperor realm competition, let alone the top 10. Of course, the Emperor realm was the Emperor realm. The top 100 strongest Emperor realm competition was stronger than the first King realm competition. Lan Shuyin thought to himself. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Everyone looked at Qin Yashuang and Zi Su. They wanted to hear what the two women had to say. Would they rely on Lan Shuyin, or would they follow Long Yu resolutely, even at the cost of their lives? Zi Su looked at Qin Yashuang. Qin Yashuang stared at Lan Shuyin in front of her. She opened her mouth slightly, and 4 words came out clearly. Give me, scram, open. These 4 words clearly showed that even if Qin Yashuang died here, she was unwilling to serve Lan Shuyin. When he heard these 3 words, Lan Shuyin was so angry that his face turned ashen. He turned around and glared at Qin Yashuang. Smelly woman, you are courting death. No one has ever dared to tell me, Lan Shuyin, to scram, and you will pay the price. Zheng En, give me face. You can seriously injure this woman, but don't kill her. I want her to know the consequences of insulting me. Lan Shuyin. Lan Shuyin said to Zheng En. Zheng En's face was extremely gloomy. He listened to Lan Shuyin's words and slowly nodded. I can leave her to you. I will give you face, but I don't want your favor. 10,000 Shinbi in exchange for her life. 10,000 Shinbi wasn't something Lan Shuyin cared about. He immediately nodded and said, no problem. After saying these 3 words, Lan Shuyin's figure flashed, and he directly retreated. Before he left, he threw a disdainful look at Qin Yashuang and Zi Su. The meaning behind it was very clear. When Lan Shuyin left, Qin Yashuang, and Zisu immediately became nervous. They were going to face Zheng En, the genius of the Water Moon Sword sect, an early-stage Emperor Realm expert. All of you died. Zheng En's body emitted a murderous aura. The sword aura around his body flew up. In the next moment, he was ready to attack Qin Yashuang and Zisu. However, at this moment, another figure blocked in front of Qin Yashuang and Zisu, causing Zheng En's momentum to stagnate. "Who?" Zheng En shouted. He looked over and saw a youth in the middle stage of the King Realm. The youth was dressed in black and had an indifferent expression. Even when facing Zheng En, the youth didn't panic at all. "It's Long Yu!" The surrounding people instantly exclaimed. Long Yu actually appeared at this time. Lan Shuyan, who had just walked away, saw Long Yu's figure. His face instantly became extremely gloomy. There was no other reason but that he actually didn't notice Long Yu hiding at the side. It was really too embarrassing. Logically speaking, his detection ability had already clearly detected the surrounding people. There was no Long Yu among them. Where did this Long Yu jump out from? When they saw Long Yu, Qin Yashuang and Zisu were instantly delighted. Long Yu actually came back at this time. Even Xu Chan, Dugu Yijian, Feng Xiaofei, and Feng Haofeng, who had retreated to the side to watch the battle, were all pleasantly surprised. They didn't expect to see Long Yu here. This was the first time the four of them saw Long Yu since they came to the sacred city of the Five Emperors. Whether it was Qin Yashuang, Zisu, or Xu Chan, none of them were worried about Long Yu's safety. How could an early-stage Emperor Realm Zheng En be a match for Long Yu? Chapter 857. Xu Chan, Qin Yashuang, and the others were well aware of Long Yu's strength. However, the onlookers didn't know. Their greatest impression of Long Yu was that he stepped onto the 30th floor of the Five Emperors' illusion world. Other than that, they knew nothing. Most of them hadn't even seen Long Yu fight before. Now that Long Yu suddenly appeared and stood in front of Qin Yashuang and Zisu, many people became excited. It's Long Yu. Long Yu actually appeared. He's the legendary Red Emperor's personal disciple. Personal disciple? In my opinion, he's just an ordinary mid-stage King Realm cultivator. Now that he's facing an Emperor Realm cultivator like Zheng En, do you think he can kill him? That's true. Although Long Yu is the Red Emperor's personal disciple, rumor has it that his martial realm is very low. It seems like it's true. Zheng En isn't an ordinary early-stage Emperor Realm cultivator either. Even if he's facing some mid-stage Emperor Realm cultivators, Zheng En can still deal with them and even find an opportunity to kill them. Such an expert is not someone a mid-stage King Realm cultivator can fight against. Just watch, this Long Yu is actually standing in front of those two women. He is definitely being hated by Zheng En. Even if he's the Red Emperor's personal disciple, it's useless in such a battle. If he's killed in the battle, even the Five Emperors won't have a reason to punish Zheng En. You're all wrong. Who knows that Long Yu came out to fight? Maybe he wants to brag and use his identity as the Red Emperor's personal disciple to pressure Zheng En into letting his women go. Everyone discussed among themselves. None of them were optimistic about Long Yu. Of course, Zheng En was the same. He was dressed in green and looked like a pine tree. His face was extremely gloomy and his eyes were bloodthirsty. He looked at Long Yu and said, "You're Long Yu, the Red Emperor's personal disciple." "It's me." Long Yu's expression was indifferent as he spoke casually. Then he waved his hand and asked Qin Yashuang and Zisu to retreat to the side. Since they were going to fight, they had to have a good fight. At the very least, they had to establish a certain amount of prestige in the Five Emperors' holy city. Otherwise, wouldn't Xu Chan and the others be bullied? Long Yu didn't happen to be present every time. Zheng En was the first target for Long Yu to establish his might. If you want to save those two women, you'll have to fight in their place. Zheng En's face was ferocious. Women are not good people. Today I, Zheng En, must kill these two women. Even if you use the name of the Red Emperor to plead for mercy, it's useless. Who said I was going to plead for leniency? Long Yu was a little surprised. He said straightforwardly, "A battle to the death." How about it? Do you dare? As soon as these words came out, it immediately set off a storm in the surroundings. A battle to the death. Many people recalled that before long you stepped into the King realm, he had once fought with the young master of the Gongsun clan. It was also a life-and-death battle. At that time, the young master of the Gongsun clan, who was at the early stage of the King realm, was directly killed by Long Yu in 2 moves. However, this time was different from the past. The young master of the Gongsun family was only in the early stage of the King realm. Now, Zheng Un was in the early stage of the Emperor realm, and not just an ordinary early stage of the Emperor realm. No matter what, Long Yu was only in the middle stage of the King realm. The difference in their cultivation was so huge. Just the basic strength of both sides was at least 20 to 30 times different. How could Long Yu have a battle to the death with Zheng In? A battle to the death. Zheng In sneered. You dare to have a battle to the death with me? Too naive. However, since you dare to mention it, there must be something fishy. As the personal disciple of the Red Emperor, you must have a lot of good things on you, right? As far as I know, everyone in the Red Emperor's faction has a Red Emperor's cloak. The Red Emperor's cloak you have can at least block the attack of an Emperor Realm expert. If you want to have a battle to the death with me, you must promise not to use the Red Emperor's cloak. Why do you care whether I use the Red Emperor's cloak or not? Long Yu was even more surprised. Zheng, and is it? Are you people of the Water Moon Sword sect so cowardly? I'm 2 levels lower than you, but the difference in our basic strength is already 20 to 30 times. Moreover, your inner world has already given birth to intelligence, and the power of your heart realm is stronger than mine. Now that I've proposed a battle to the death, you still want to raise conditions? The moment these words were said, the surrounding people immediately roared with laughter. Long Yu was right. The gap between their martial realms was so huge, but Zheng In still wanted to raise conditions. It was obvious that he was afraid of Long Yu. An early-stage Emperor Realm expert was afraid of a mid-stage King Realm kid? Even if this person was the personal disciple of the Red Emperor, wasn't this a bit too much? Hearing the surrounding people's mockery, Zheng In was not moved at all. If you don't agree to this condition, I will forfeit the battle today. Long Yu, Zheng In, will definitely kill everyone related to you in the future. You can't hide in the holy city of the 5 emperors forever, right? As he spoke, he swept his gaze to the side. His gaze swept over Qin Yashuang, Zi Su, Shu Chan, and the others one by one. His eyes carried a thick sense of threat. Hearing Zheng Un's words, Long Yu frowned slightly. He didn't expect this guy to be so difficult to deal with. If he didn't take care of him now, it would be very dangerous in the future. Moreover, Long Yu wouldn't be able to achieve his goal of establishing his dominance. This Zheng In wasn't someone who only knew how to use brute force. It was obvious that he was extremely cautious. Even when facing Long Yu, who was 2 levels lower than him, and the thousands of people around him mocked him, he didn't care. He insisted that Long Yu agree not to use the Red Emperor's cloak. Perhaps Zheng In thought that the reason Long Yu dared to propose a battle to the death was because of the Red Emperor's cloak. Therefore, he wanted to restrict Long Yu by any means possible so that he would be invincible. I can choose not to use the Red Emperor's cloak. In Long Yu's eyes, Zheng In wasn't too strong. At most, he could deal with him as a mid-stage Emperor Realm expert. And Long Yu had killed more than 1 mid-stage Emperor Realm expert. Very good. Zheng In nodded in satisfaction when he heard Long Yu's words. The murderous intent in his eyes intensified. Since that's the case, you still dare to fight to the death with me? If you step aside now and let me kill those 2 women, I won't make things difficult for you. You're thinking too much. Since we're going to fight, let's cut the crap and begin. Long Yu interrupted the other party's nonsense with a single sentence. His eyes became extremely calm, and numerous primordial afterimages began to condense around him. In just a breath's time, Long Yu's primordial afterimages had already exceeded 10. Since Long Yu had made his move, Zheng In naturally wouldn't stand still. He was extremely cautious. Since the battle had begun, there was no way he would show mercy. It was the same even if Long Yu was the Red Emperor's personal disciple. This was a fair battle to the death. Even if he killed Long Yu in this battle, the Red Emperor wouldn't dare do anything to him. One had to know that the 5 emperors might seem high and mighty, but they still restrained each other. The boundless sword chi that revolved around Zheng En all surged towards the afterimages of Long Yu. Zheng En knew that these were merely afterimages of Long Yu, but he still launched his attack. The reason was because destroying these afterimages would exhaust Long Yu's strength. An initial stage Emperor Realm cultivator possessed more than 100 times more energy than a mid-stage Emperor Realm cultivator. If this was a battle of attrition, Zheng En would definitely be undefeatable. It was true that Long Yu had an exotic beast crystal that could recover his divine characters, but did Zheng En not have one? However, only an idiot would engage in a battle of attrition with Zheng En. From the very beginning, Long Yu had planned to kill Zheng En in one blow. With Long Yu's current strength and methods, he didn't need to probe at all against a cultivator like Zheng En. He only formed a dozen or so ancient shadows to attract Zheng En's attention. Then, he prepared to deal a fatal blow. Spatial penetration. Long Yu's void nether dragon blade appeared behind Zheng En and stabbed towards his back. Zheng En's reaction was extremely fast, and he immediately discovered the powerful battle weapon that was trying to sneak up on him. With a flicker of his body, he turned into a sword light and flew to the side, easily dodging the sneak attack of the nether void dragon blade. Insignificant skill. Zheng En was just about to counterattack after dodging Long Yu's ambush, but he suddenly discovered that a wave of black divine characters had blossomed beneath his feet and sealed all of his strength. No, it wasn't the power that had blossomed from beneath his feet. It was as if he had flown into the black spiral of divine characters of his own accord. Long Yu had actually predicted his movements. Break! Sword chi flew everywhere, and Long Yu's 7th grade divine chain spiral was directly shattered. However, this momentary delay allowed 12 layers of dark stars to appear around Zheng En, imprisoning his entire body. Dark star imprisonment, infinite imprisonment. After displaying this move, Long Yu immediately began to condense fallen dark stars. One after another, they appeared around the space where Zheng En was imprisoned and gathered. After 2 breaths, Zheng En broke through the infinite imprisonment, and a powerful aura instantly swept across the entire area. He seemed to be preparing to use some kind of terrifying move. However, at this moment, more than 500 fallen dark stars instantly exploded. Fallen Dark Star was an ancient transcendent rank defensive martial skill. Now that Long Yu had cultivated it to the transcendent realm, its explosive power was extremely terrifying, especially when 500 fallen dark stars exploded at the same time. The power generated could easily kill a mid-stage Emperor Realm expert and blast a cultivator of this level into ashes. Zheng En was just about to use his ultimate move, but before he could react, he was completely enveloped by the explosion of the fallen dark stars. Green sword chi danced wildly within the explosion. Obviously, Zheng En had also used a defensive method to resist the explosive power of these fallen dark stars. However, he soon discovered that it was futile. The explosive power of 500 fallen dark stars was not something that Zheng En could withstand with his current level of strength. Although there was a huge gap between the two sides' basic strength, there was also a huge gap in the power of divine characters and the grade of martial skills. Combined, Long Yu had actually killed Zheng En in an instant. As for the predicted position just now, Long Yu had merely used the first level of the secret martial art, balance control, to capture the trajectory of Zheng En's divine characters in advance. A violent explosion resounded. Long Yu waved his hand and urged the ancient dragon skeleton tower to condense a void domain, limiting the power of the explosion within the battlefield and not spreading to the surroundings. When the smoke and dust in the battlefield had dissipated, Zheng En had completely disappeared. Not even his bones were left. The only thing left on the ground was a great desolate-level upper-rank longsword that had been blown into several pieces. Chapter 858. The duel between Long Yu and Zheng In only lasted for 10 breaths of time before it ended. The result of the duel was out of everyone's expectations. Long Yu had no intention of using the Red Emperor's cloak at all. He directly used an extremely forceful method to kill Zheng In on the spot. The originally extremely noisy trading plaza instantly quietened down. Not a single person spoke. Everyone's faces were filled with shock as they looked at Long Yu, as well as the place where Zheng In was originally standing at, which had already disappeared. A king realm middle stage instantly killed an emperor realm early stage. Normal people had never seen something like this before. Not to mention, Zheng In was no longer a normal emperor realm early stage, but close to the emperor realm middle stage. Even so, Zheng In was easily killed by Long Yu. He didn't even need the Red Emperor's cloak. Long Yu really won't let us down. Shu Chan looked at the battlefield. Although she was mentally prepared, she was still surprised by Long Yu's current strength. Once upon a time, she could still fight against Long Yu. But now, the gap between the two seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. What kind of effort did Long Yu put in these days? Qin Yushuang and Zisu's eyes were shining. This wasn't the first time they had seen Long Yu fight, but the result of any battle would always surprise them. Killing an Emperor Realm early stage in an instant. With such strength, he would at least be able to enter the top 3 in the previous strongest King Realm competitions. It was almost impossible for normal people to see such a strong person in action. The Shenwu world was so vast. How could they coincidentally see such a genius in action? Besides, not many people had seen the 5 emperors in action, but everyone knew that the 5 emperors were the strongest. The Shenwu conference that was held once every 50 years was the competition for the new 5 emperors. However, the current 5 emperors had not been replaced for hundreds of years. No one thought that someone would become one of the new 5 emperors this time. Brother Long is indeed ferocious. Feng Xiaofei and Feng Haofeng both laughed out loud. Just when everyone thought that Long Yu would definitely lose, Long Yu used reality to give everyone a heavy blow. From the beginning, on Heavenly Mandate Island, Long Yu been like this. Even now, in the holy city of the 5 emperors, it was still the same. Dugu Yijian didn't speak much, and it was the same at this moment. He just looked at Long Yu with a hint of admiration in his eyes. Originally, Dugu Yijian had some thoughts of catching up to Long Yu. But after witnessing Long Yu instantly killing an initial Emperor Realm cultivator, he knew that the gap between him and Long Yu would only grow wider and wider. While he could never catch up to his opponent, there was no doubt that he would admire him from the bottom of his heart. Compared to the joy in the hearts of Shu Chan, Qin Yashuang, and the others present were in a very bad mood, especially those from the Water Moon Sword sect. Zisher, who had been saved by Zheng In, had a face full of shock. He looked at Zheng In's long sword that had been broken into several pieces. Just a moment ago, he was still looking forward to seeing Zheng In kill Long Yu. But now, Zheng In had been blasted to the point where not even his corpse could be found. How dare you? There were a total of 7 youths from the Water Moon Sword sect. Other than Zheng In and Zisher, the other 5 were all Zisher's juniors. They were all ordinary young martial cultivators, and the strongest among them was only in the middle stage of the King Realm. Of course, they didn't dare to attack Long Yu. But who were they? They were the disciples of the Water Moon Sword sect. The genius of the Water Moon Sword sect, Zheng In, had been killed by Long Yu outside. The Water Moon Sword sect would definitely not let this go. How dare you kill a genius disciple of the Water Moon Sword sect? The elders of our sect will not let you go easily. One of the pretty boys from the Water Moon Sword sect threatened. That's strange. However, Long Yu did not pay attention to that person. He only said indifferently, "Wasn't this battle a challenge from the start? Moreover, I said it was a battle of life and death. Now that Zheng In's strength is insufficient and he was killed by me, there are still some nobodies jumping out to threaten me. If you want to seek revenge from the elders of the Water Moon Sword sect, I welcome you at any time. Just be prepared to pay the price." Arrogant. The pretty boy from the Watermoon Sword sect was furious. A mere middle-stage king realm kid dares to talk nonsense. Do you know that there are hundreds of Emperor Realm elders in the Watermoon Sword sect? You won't be able to stop any one of them. This kid seemed to have a good relationship with Zheng An. The fact that Zheng An was killed by Long Yu made him hate Long Yu to the extreme. He wanted to kill Long Yu on the spot. Is that so? An Emperor Realm expert. When Long Yu heard this, he immediately chuckled. Was he afraid of an Emperor Realm expert? Although he was no match for an Emperor Realm expert in a head-on battle in the outside world, he had toyed with Emperor Realm experts more than once or twice. In the ruins of the Pocket Dimension, he had killed 70 Emperor Realm experts by himself, causing the Shenluo Empire and the Taiwu Empire to suffer heavy losses. Others might be afraid of Emperor Realm experts, but not Long Yu. After all, he had killed more than 70 Emperor Realm experts. He was not the least bit afraid of Emperor Realm experts. Moreover, would Emperor Realm experts really dare to attack Long Yu? Although the Watermoon Sword sect was one of the great forces of the 6 sects in 10 countries, compared to the Red Emperor, one of the 5 emperors, it was still quite lacking. Would the Emperor Realm experts of their sect dare to do anything? If they want to come, then come. Don't talk nonsense with me here. After saying this, Long Yu no longer paid attention to the group of people from the Watermoon Sword sect. Instead, he turned around and looked at the genius disciple of the Nine Suns sect, Lan Shuyan. When this person jumped out to protect Qin Yashuang and Zi Su, Long Yu was shocked. But soon, he knew that this person just wanted to use the 2 girls to attack Long Yu. How could Long Yu tolerate such behavior? Lan Shuyan, genius of the Nine Suns sect, I, Long Yu, challenge you to a life-and-death battle. Do you dare to accept? Long Yu did not waste any time and directly looked at him with a disdainful gaze. Once these words came out, the crowd once again exploded. Everyone looked at Long Yu in shock. They did not expect that he would challenge a genius of the Nine Suns sect after killing a genius of the Watermoon Sword sect. And it was a life-and-death battle. Without a doubt, Lan Shuyan was much stronger than Zheng An. But facing Long Yu, who could kill Zheng An in a second, would Lan Shuyan really be a match for him? Everyone raised their attention, wanted to see if Lan Shuyan dared to accept the challenge. The people from the Watermoon Sword sect were originally extremely angry at Long Yu for ignoring them. But when they saw that Long Yu actually turned to provoke the Nine Suns sect, all of them secretly rejoiced. Long Yu, you are really courting death. One must know that Lan Shuyan is a genius who stepped onto the 19th level of the fantasy dimension of the 5 emperors. He is much stronger than Zheng An of the Watermoon Sword sect. Although Long Yu stepped onto the 30th level of the fantasy dimension of the 5 emperors, he was currently only at the middle stage of the King Realm. The gap in cultivation and basic strength was enough to make up for some of the gap in talent. Long Yu's talent was very high, but Lan Shuyan was not weak either. He was even reputed to be one of the candidates for the future sect leader of the Nine Suns sect. Could Long Yu defeat such a genius? Lan Shuyan was also taken aback by Long Yu. Originally, his face was a little gloomy when Long Yu killed Zheng An. He thought that if he could personally participate, he would definitely be able to kill Long Yu. But now, Long Yu actually took the initiative to issue a challenge to him, a life-and-death battle. If he did not have a little confidence, how could this Long Yu issue a challenge? Lan Shuyan's heart suddenly became vigilant. But since he was young, he had lived in an environment where stars revolved around the moon. He was the favored son of heaven and had always been the focus of everyone. His martial arts talent had also been proven to be extremely strong. Even if he fought with people in the same realm, Lan Shuyan had never lost, let alone now facing Long Yu, who was 2 levels lower than him. I, Lan Shuyan, accept the challenge, a life-and-death battle. Lan Shuyan was brimming with intense confidence. After thinking for a bit, he accepted Long Yu's challenge. However, Long Yu saw through his expression. This Lan Shuyan still thought for a while. Since he thought about it, it meant that he was afraid, and it meant that there was a possibility that he would show flaws in the battle. The two stood in the arena, and the surrounding atmosphere became more and more lively. No one expected that they would be able to see Long use 2 battles in a row today. In one of the battles, he instantly killed the Water Moon Sword Sect's genius Zheng In with lightning speed. In the second battle, Long Yu faced Lan Shuyan, who was also in the early stage of the Emperor realm. The current Lan Shuyan could persist for a long time, even if he faced an ordinary existence in the late stage of the Emperor realm, and even defeat the other party. Facing such an opponent, could Long Yu really do it? If it was before Long Yu killed Zheng In, everyone would definitely think that Long Yu had no chance of winning. But now, Long Yu killed Zheng Un and took the initiative to challenge Lan Shuyan. There was no doubt that this Long Yu was very confident in his own strength. Now, no one thought that Long Yu's confidence was due to stupidity. Would an existence that could easily kill Zheng In be a stupid person? Impossible. Today, I will wash away the shame of losing to you. I will let you know that it's nothing for the 5 emperors to step onto a higher level in the illusion dimension. Lan Shuyan stepped forward and walked into the arena. The power of blue flame divine characters began to curl around his body, making him look like a blue flaming man. Lan Shuyan was very confident about whether he could defeat Long Yu, but he was also extremely afraid in his heart. He had no choice but to accept Long Yu's challenge, because if he were to back down, it would leave a shadow in his heart, a shadow that he was inferior to Long Yu. As long as he backed down, he would never be able to surpass Long Yu. Now that he accepted the challenge, as long as he defeated Long Yu in the challenge, or even killed Long Yu, then his state of mind would have a great breakthrough, which would greatly benefit his martial Dao journey. As you said, the result of the 5 emperors in the illusion dimension is indeed nothing. Long Yu glanced at Lan Shuyan and said indifferently, "I've never felt that I'm that strong. However, you just jumped out to force my friend to do something to me. That's why I challenged you to a battle." Long Yu's words were very clear. He didn't think that his result in the 5 emperors in the illusion dimension was that strong, but this Lan Shuyan refused to let it go and actually took the initiative to find trouble with Long Yu. This was the reason why Long Yu made a move. Chapter 859. To Long Yu, Lan Shuyan was a good opponent. Although Lan Shuyan was an early Emperor realm cultivator like Zheng In, Long Yu was well aware that Lan Shuyan was much stronger than Zheng In. If he were to use the same method against Lan Shuyan as Zheng In, Long Yu wanted to see what method Lan Shuyan would use to break it. When Long Yu and Lan Shuyan agreed to fight, the surrounding people retreated even further, leaving an empty space of 300 zhang for the 2 of them. There was a forbidden array in the sacred city of 5 emperors, and no one could fly. Therefore, everyone could only fight on the ground, and no one could fly into the sky. Everyone was looking forward to the battle between Long Yu and Lan Shuyan. This was a battle to the death, a showdown between the 2 geniuses of the younger generation. The battle between the 2 had yet to officially begin, but the temperature in the air had already begun to rise. The blue flames on Lan Shuyan's entire body rose up, surrounding him into a blue flaming man. He was overbearing. Long Yu stood on the spot and didn't make any movements. However, everyone knew that once Long Yu attacked, it would be earth-shattering. Since he was able to instantly annihilate the genius of the Water Moon Sword sect, Zheng In, he absolutely couldn't be underestimated. At that moment, the news spread out, and it quickly attracted the attention of many forces. Nine Sun Sect. Lan Shuyan's master was a scarlet-haired old man. Although he was old, his cultivation was extremely profound. He was one of the best late emperor cultivators. Lan Shuyan's master immediately rushed over upon hearing the news. He brought a dozen people from the Nine Suns sect with him and easily arrived at the edge of the battlefield. Shuyan, this battle is very important to you. If you win, your future will be limitless. Even if you lose, I will save you at the critical moment. The scarlet-haired old man thought to himself as he watched the confrontation between the 2. For someone like him who was nearing the end of his life, inheritance was everything. Lan Shuyan was the most talented disciple he'd ever accepted. He couldn't let Lan Shiyin be killed here. On the other side, the Water Moon Sword sect. The seniors of Water Moon Sword School had finally arrived. Among them was a sturdy middle-aged man with an arrogant look and a gloomy face. After he brought a group of Water Moon Sword School disciples to the scene, he raised his hand and grabbed Zheng En's broken long sword that had been smashed into a few pieces. My disciple Zheng En was killed by that brat. The burly middle-aged man carried a giant sword on his back. At this moment, the giant sword exuded a murderous aura that permeated the entire area, immediately attracting everyone's attention. That's right, it's that Long Yu. Izishur ran over and hid behind the burly middle-aged man. At the same time, he pointed at Long Yu with a vicious look in his eyes. Today he must die. The burly middle-aged man's eyes shone with cold, killing intent. But since he wants to fight the Nine Suns sect brat, then let's wait until this battle is over, martial uncle. But if Long Yu is defeated by Lan Shiyin, then wouldn't it mean that senior brother Zheng En is inferior to Lan Shiyin? The face of our Water Moon Sword sect. Izishur could not help but say, "Face." The burly middle-aged man lowered his head and looked coldly at Izishur. He felt that this brat was really stupid. Long Yu must die. But what about after he dies? If I directly kill Long Yu, as you said, wouldn't the entire Water Moon Sword sect have to face the wrath of the Red Emperor? When Izishur heard this, he immediately broke out in a cold sweat. He had almost forgotten that Long Yu was also the personal disciple of the Red Emperor. With such an identity, no one dared to openly kill him in the holy city of the Five Emperors. Unless it was a battle to the death. Therefore, this burly middle-aged man hoped that Lan Shiyin would kill Long Yu. That way, he would not have to do anything and there would not be any follow-up trouble. Otherwise, once the burly middle-aged man attacked, it would be a big deal. After all, it involved the Five Emperors. In other directions, other than Nine Suns sect and Water Moon Sword sect, the 6 sects and 10 countries also sent their own representatives. Among them, more than 10 people from the Taiwu Empire dressed in white robes came to the scene. The leader was a bald, middle-aged man wearing a bamboo hat. He looked at Long Yu with eyes full of hatred. This bald, middle-aged man with a bamboo hat was a late-stage Emperor Realm expert. The reason why he hated Long Yu so much was because one of his younger brothers had gone to the ancient ruins of the Shenluo Empire with a large group of people. However, he never made it out of the ancient ruins. The entire ancient ruins had disappeared without a trace. The only one who came out of the ancient ruins was Long Yu. It was said that Long Yu had the ability to control the ancient ruins. That was why all the experts who entered the ancient ruins perished in the ancient ruins and never came out alive. Whether this news was true or not, the bamboo hat middle-aged man's younger brother did not come out of the ancient ruins alive. This made the bamboo hat middle-aged man hate Long Yu to the core. Therefore, when he heard that Long Yu was nearby, he immediately rushed over with his men. If Long Yu could win this battle, the bamboo hat middle-aged man would not let Long Yu leave, even if he had to be buried with Long Yu. The other 6 sects and 10 countries did not have any grudges with Long Yu. However, they took this battle very seriously. No matter which side won, it would affect the situation in the holy city of the 5 emperors. Deep blue divine flame, snake dance. When Lan Shiyin saw that Long Yu was not moving, a cautious look flashed in his eyes, and he took the initiative to attack. Deep blue divine flame was an ancient martial technique of the Nine Suns sect. As one of the 6 sects and 10 countries, the Nine Suns sect naturally had a strong foundation. This deep blue divine flame was a lower ancient martial technique. Compared to the martial techniques that Long Yu cultivated, this deep blue divine flame was nothing much. However, for ordinary people, the ancient rank meant that they were the strongest. Yes, the strongest. Coupled with Lan Shiyin's early-stage emperor cultivation, this move could definitely explode with terrifying power. Previously, Zheng En had not been able to cultivate the ancient martial technique of the Water Moon Sword sect. He did not even have the chance to use it before he was completely destroyed by Long Yu. But now, Lan Shiyin was the first to attack. He could let the surrounding people see the power of the deep blue divine flame. Deep blue divine flame, snake dance. Countless deep blue flames appeared in the air, swimming towards Long Yu from all directions. They were like snakes. Each dancing snake had an extremely high temperature, causing the surrounding space to distort. Moreover, the speed of these dancing snakes was extremely fast, arriving in front of Long Yu in the blink of an eye. Unfortunately, Long Yu, who cultivated a secret martial technique and had balance control, was best at dealing with this kind of small-scale attack. Fallen Dark Star. Long Yu raised his hand, and countless fallen dark stars condensed around his body. Each fallen dark star appeared in front of the deep blue dancing snakes with great precision, blocking them. After cultivating the secret martial technique, balance control, Long Yu was very sensitive to the wandering power around him. He easily predicted the trajectory of the dancing snakes. Thus, he accurately used the fallen dark star to block this batch of hundreds of dancing snakes. A slight frown appeared on Lan Shuyan's face, as though he was rather flabbergasted by Long Yu's methods. After all, it was already very good for Long Yu to be able to block his attack. Yet, Long Yu was able to so accurately and effortlessly block the dancing snake, causing him to be incomparably shocked. However, he did not stop. The deep blue divine flame rose from his body again, and 3 deep blue flame dragon heads condensed above his head. Deep blue divine flame. Soaring dragon. The snake dance that Lan Shuyan used just now was a minor success technique of the deep blue divine flame martial technique. The current soaring dragon was a major success technique. 3 deep blue dragon heads condensed above his head, each releasing an extremely terrifying aura. Soaring dragon, kill. Under Lan Shuyan's command, the 3 deep blue flame dragon heads behind him instantly swept towards Long Yu, and the surrounding temperature instantly increased by more than 10 times. 9 Nether Hunter. Long Yu did not hesitate to condense 6 9 Nether Hunters, and directly let the 6 9 Nether Hunters fight against the 3 deep blue flame dragon heads. 2 against 1, just enough to block the 3 dragon heads. However, in the next moment, the deep blue flame on Lan Shuyan's body rose again, and another 3 dragon heads condensed behind him, whistling towards Long Yu. Long Yu used the Merak footwork and directly teleported to the side. However, the 3 dragon heads instantly turned around and once again attacked him with murderous intent. It seems that dodging won't work, so I can only face them head-on. With this thought in mind, Long Yu raised his hand and once again condensed 6 9 Nether Hunters and faced them head-on. The 9 Nether Hunter was only a minor magic, so it was not very strong. However, Long Yu could only rely on this magic to resist the deep blue dragon heads, and the most important thing was to deal with it this way to save the energy in his body the most. I want to see whether you have more energy in your body, or I have more energy. Lan Shuyan snorted coldly, raised his hand, and the 6 deep blue flame dragon heads behind him rose again, instantly raising the temperature again by 10 times. The terrifying temperature made some of the surrounding martial cultivators who had not reached the king realm somewhat unable to bear it, let alone Long Yu, who was facing Lan Shuyan's attack head-on. The 12 deep blue flame dragon heads howled in the sky, surrounding Long Yu in the middle. Even if Long Yu blocked 6 of them, the other 6 could easily kill him. As expected of a genius of the Ninth Sun's sect, such a ferocious attack. However, Long Yu's heart was calm, and his face was expressionless. Although he was quite afraid of Lan Shuyan's attack, he still believed that he would win in the end. Another 12 9 Nether Hunters appeared, and they directly blocked all the deep blue flame dragons. However, in the next moment, as Lan Shuyan raised his hand, all the deep blue flame dragons instantly flew up into the sky, and the 12 dragons instantly condensed into one. After that, it carried boundless power and high temperature as it attacked directly towards Long Yu. The strength of this one deep blue flame dragon far exceeded the total strength of the previous 12 dragons. After this thing merged, it actually produced a qualitative change, and it became 100 times stronger than a single dragon. The appearance of such a powerful and ferocious attack shocked everyone in the surroundings. Chapter 860. The giant dragon formed from the 12 dark blue divine flame dragons was 100 times the size of Long Yu. It was covered in dark blue flames as it descended from the sky, as if it was going to burn Long Yu to ashes. It was also at this moment that a sky blue flame condensed around Long Yu's body and formed 4 walls of fire that soared into the sky. Moreover, these walls of fire were imbued with the power of spatial divine glyphs, which blocked Long Yu's escape routes. These 4 walls of fire were Lan Shuyan's innate divine ability, a high-level divine ability. Originally, it was just a fire-attributed divine ability, but later on, he added spatial divine characters into it, developing it into a fusion divine ability. Lan Shuyan's reputation as a genius came from this. In the entire divine battle world, there weren't many geniuses who could fuse techniques. For Lan Shuyan to be able to do so, it was clear that his talent was astonishing. Long Yu tried, but even after using the path of 9 underworlds, he couldn't break through the 4 walls of fire. Not being able to break through the walls of fire meant that he couldn't escape from this cage. Could it be that I have no choice but to take on the attack of the dark blue divine flame dragons above my head? Long Yu frowned, but he didn't have the time to think about it. The dark blue divine flame dragons above his head instantly swept down and enveloped Long Yu's entire body. The 4 walls of fire instantly turned into a sea of fire. As the dark blue divine flame dragons slammed down, everyone's hearts skipped a beat. They didn't think that the battle would be so simple. Lan Shuyan had only used 2 moves, and Long Yu was already hit by a terrifying martial technique. With Long Yu's current king realm mid-stage, physical strength and defense, he probably wouldn't be able to withstand such an attack, right? After all, Lan Shuyan's attack was equivalent to a late-stage Emperor Realm Cultivator's attack. In fact, Lan Shuyan's attack could be even stronger. Right now, he was only fusing 12 dark blue divine flame dragons. If he wanted to, he could even fuse over 100 dark blue divine flame dragons together. If that happened, even an Emperor Realm Cultivator might not be able to withstand it. But now he was merely at the intermediate stage of the King Realm. Lan Shuyan revealed a smile as he gazed at the blazing blue flames. A mere intermediate stage King Realm Cultivator wants to fight me. Lan Shuyan? What a joke. Looks like I overestimated you, and I overestimated the Water Moon Sword Sect, Lan Shuyan thought in his heart, but he didn't let his guard down. Instead, he focused his attention on the battlefield. Before he saw Long Yu's corpse, he wouldn't let his guard down. However, the onlookers did not think so. A group of people quickly rushed over. It was the Qin family's people, led by Qin Changyu. There were more than 10 people in total. They quickly arrived at the edge of the battlefield and found Qin Yishuang and Zisu. When Qin Zhongyu arrived, he just happened to see Long Yu being struck by Lan Shuyan and buried in the sea of fire. Even Qin Changyu was shocked by the intensity of the attack. He was sure that Long Yu, a mere King Realm mid-stage kid, could not possibly survive such destructive power. That monstrous young man, who had made Qin Zhongyu and the others feel ashamed, had died in front of them. That kid is so arrogant. He was the direct disciple of the Red Emperor, but he is still dead. Qin Zhongyu's eldest son laughed and looked at Qin Yishuang and Zisu, who were standing in the crowd and watching the battle. He laughed and said, "My sister, Yishuang, how about it? Is it time to go back to the Qin family? Without that kid to protect you, let's see how you dare to leave our Qin family." Yishuang, it's enough. It's time to go home. Qin Zhongyu sighed and shook his head. Just now, Lord Lan Shuyan stood up and gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Now, if you repent and decide to follow Lord Lan Shuyan, he will definitely forgive you. Shut up, Qin Yishuang said coldly. She was used to the Qin family's shamelessness, but hearing Qin Zhongyu and his eldest son say such words, she still felt disgusted. Disgusting. Zissou also frowned at the side. The two girls didn't believe that Long Yu would die like this. They had a lot of confidence in Long Yu. Don't go too far. You're just a maid, and you dare to gossip here? When Qin Changyu heard Zissou's words, he was instantly enraged. I saw the might of young Master Lan Shuyan's move with my own eyes. Even I had to use more than half of my strength to defend against such a move. How could that brat survive? Don't be so stubborn. You are the ones who will suffer. We have already left the Qin family. We have nothing to do with you disgusting people. Qin Yishuang furrowed her brows and pulled Zissou to the side. She didn't want to have any contact with Qin Changyu right now. Humph, leaving the Qin family? It sounds nice. We raised you for so many years, but in the end, you betrayed the family. Do you know that you will be cursed for thousands of years? Qin Zhangyu humphed coldly. When this is over, I will bring you back to the Qin family. Hearing this, Qin Zhangyu thought that the two girls would be afraid. However, he found that no matter if it was Qin Yishuang or Zissou, they both had mocking expressions on their faces. Forcefully bring them back to the Qin family? With Long Yu here, Qin Yishuang and Zissou weren't worried that Qin Zhangyu would do anything to them, unless Long Yu was gone. But how could something happen to Long Yu? The deep blue flame continued to burn. The temperature kept rising. Long Yu didn't show up, but Qin Yishuang and Zissou trusted Long Yu a lot. In another direction, the Gongsun family's family head also brought many people over. The young master of the Gongsun family was killed by Long Yu. Of course, the family head hated Long Yu. However, Long Yu hadn't died yet, which made him very angry. Now that Long Yu was stirring up trouble again, how could he miss it? Besides the Gongsun family, there were other families in the holy city of the Five Emperors, including the three big trading companies. They all sent people to watch the development of the situation. It was originally a small matter, but because of Long Yu's participation, it had now become a big matter that shook the whole city. After a full 10 breaths of time, the deep blue flame finally began to extinguish. Whether it was the burly middle-aged man from the Water Moon Sword sect, the red-haired old man from the Nine Suns sect, or the middle-aged man from the Taiwu Empire, they all stared at the scene. They were some of the strongest people here. They could feel a trace of Long Yu's life force. It was obvious that Long Yu wasn't dead. But even if he wasn't dead, he must have been seriously injured. All three of them wanted to see the situation. Of course, they wanted to see Long Yu die the most. Suddenly, Shuyan, watch your feet. The red-haired old man's expression changed, and he transmitted his voice to Lan Shuyan. In the next moment, a shadow appeared under Lan Shuyan's feet. The power of pitch-black divine characters instantly enveloped Lan Shuyan's body. A thick, pitch-black shadow spread out instantly, shrouding the entire battlefield. 9 Underworld Heavenly Light. Long Yu used the ground and quietly came under Lan Shuyan's feet. Then, he used 9 Underworld Heavenly Light, shielding all spatial divine characters in the area. Then he used Infinite Imprisonment, instantly enveloping Lan Shuyan. The change in the battlefield happened in an instant. All the onlookers were shocked on the spot. No one expected such a sudden change. Most of the people in the battlefield even thought that someone else had broken into the battlefield and attacked Lan Shuyan. But when they saw that no one from the Nine Suns sect had moved, the others relaxed. It seemed that the change in the battlefield was caused by Long Yu's counterattack and not by someone else. Otherwise, Lan Shuyan's master would have attacked a long time ago. But in this way, many people were very surprised. They didn't expect that Long Yu would be able to survive such a terrifying martial technique and quickly launch a counterattack. This battle is getting more and more interesting. In the 9 Underworld Heavenly Light, Long Yu used Infinite Imprisonment to imprison Lan Shuyan's entire body. When he faced the attack of the dark blue divine flame dragon just now, he couldn't avoid it. So, he could only move under his feet. The ground under his feet was the holy city of the 5 emperors, and it was made of special materials. Not to mention a mere king realm martial cultivator. Even an emperor realm martial cultivator wouldn't be able to destroy it. Because of this, Lan Shuyan didn't set up an interception under Long Yu's feet. There was no need at all. However, Lan Shuyan didn't know that Long Yu had the Book of Shadows. He used the Book of Shadows to disguise himself as a tiny speck of dust and burrow into the ground. The ground of the sacred city of 5 emperors could even withstand Lan Shuyan's attack, which was comparable to an emperor realm expert. However, Long Yu had disguised himself as a tiny speck of dust and entered it. No one could imagine how such a tiny speck of dust could penetrate deep into the holy city of the 5 emperors. This way, through deduction and perception, the other emperors could feel that Long Yu's life force was still there, but it was very weak. They thought that he was seriously injured, but they didn't expect that Long Yu had actually burrowed into the ground and completely avoided Lan Shuyan's attack. Long Yu's movement underground was rather slow. It took him more than 10 breaths of time to finally arrive at Lan Shuyan's feet. Furthermore, he transformed into a shadow and rushed out. He instantly unleashed the 9 underworld heavenly light and began his counterattack. Although he knew very well that he couldn't deal with Lan Shuyan the way he dealt with Zheng En, he still began to condense the desolate ancient shadow after imprisoning Lan Shuyan. Then, he let the desolate ancient shadow condense fallen dark stars as fast as possible. This was a race against time. However, in just a breath's time, the continuous 12 layers of infinite imprisonment were broken by Lan Shuyan from the inside, and a cluster of dark blue flames swept out. At this time, Long Yu had only condensed 200 fallen dark stars, but he still chose to detonate them all. In an instant, the explosive power of the fallen dark stars collided with the dark blue flames, forming a powerful shock wave that almost blew away the 9 underworld heavenly light. Chapter 861. 200 fallen dark stars detonated at the same time, but of course, it was not enough to kill Lan Shuyan. It turned out that Lan Shuyan was indeed much stronger than Zheng En. Hand of the 9 nether, hand of the 9 nether, hand of the 9 nether. Long Yu did not wait for the energy shock wave to dissipate and directly displayed 3 high-level divine abilities. 3 white bone arms appeared from the void almost at the same time, surrounding Lan Shuyan. In the 9 nether heavenly light, Lan Shuyan almost did not know that danger was approaching. He could sense Long Yu's position and the general situation of the surrounding energy, but the impact of the martial skills of the 2 sides just now was too violent, causing the surrounding area to become a mess. If it were not for the fact that Long Yu had cultivated a martial Dao secret technique and had a balanced control, he would also be like a blind man in such an environment. However, even though Lan Shuyan couldn't sense the abnormality in his surroundings, he still used a defensive method. The deep blue flame was like a cloak, wrapping his entire body, turning him into a blue flaming man, illuminating the space within a 3-foot radius. At this time, Lan Shuyan suddenly discovered that from his left, right, and top of his head, a white bone arm suddenly sprang out of the black fog, less than 3 feet away from him. At such a short distance, it was too late to deal with it. Almost in the blink of an eye, the 3 white bone arms had already grabbed his body. Each white bone arm was extremely huge. The first white bone arm easily grabbed Lan Shuyan's whole body like a big hand grabbing a little chick, and the power of the 9 nether divine characters instantly penetrated it. Boom! A burst of dark blue flames erupted from where Lan Shuyan was, seeping through the gaps between the fingers of the white bone arm. Immediately afterward, the white bone arm was gradually burned black by the dark blue flames, and cracks even appeared on its surface. However, if one skeletal arm didn't work, there was another one. As soon as the first white bone arm was burned, the second followed and continued to grab Lan Shuyan's whole body. However, this white bone arm lasted even shorter, only half a breath of time before it was burned to ashes by the dark blue flames that seeped out. However, there seemed to be no end to the white bone arms as they kept grabbing at Lan Shuyan. The divine runes of the netherworld became denser and denser in the surrounding space. However, they were unable to corrode Lan Shuyan's body. His dark blue flame cloak protected him very well. It seemed that he wouldn't be able to win just by relying on Nine Nether's hand. Moreover, the more times Long Yu used the same trick, the easier it was for Lan Shuyan to break it. Long Yu had to use other tricks. Shadow Kill. Long Yu directly manipulated all the shadows in the 9 underworlds' heavenly light. Together with the 9 underworlds' blades, they formed countless sharp blades that filled the sky and swept towards Lan Shuyan. However, Lan Shuyan knew very well what he should do now. Lava Core, explode. A burst of golden flame instantly erupted from Lan Shuyan's body. The surface temperature and power of this golden flame was more than 10 times that of the dark blue flame. At this moment, the shadow blades that Long Yu had condensed were all annihilated by this burst of golden flame. Immediately after, the golden flame erupted with a loud bang and completely blew away the 9 underworlds' heavenly light. Long Yu, you're only SOSO. Ha! Lan Shuyan laughed heartily. I can break any move that you use, and I don't need to use much strength. If this goes on, you'll only have a dead end. The 9 underworlds' heavenly light was blown away by the explosion of the golden flame. Lan Shuyan and Long Yu's figures once again appeared in front of everyone. This time, everyone was finally sure that Long Yu was indeed not dead. They didn't expect that Long Yu could not die in that situation just now. How did he escape? Very few people knew what had happened in the 9 underworlds' heavenly light just now. However, everyone saw that the golden flame had blown away the 9 underworlds' heavenly light. It was obvious that Lan Shuyan had suppressed Long Yu. The red-haired old man from the 9 Suns sect, the burly middle-aged man from the Water Moon Sword sect, and a middle-aged man wearing a bamboo hat from the Taiwu Empire all revealed satisfied expressions. As long as Long Yu was suppressed, there would be no problem. Today, they probably wouldn't need to do anything. In the next moment, Long Yu once again displayed the 9 underworlds' heavenly light, intending to envelop the entire area. However, before the 9 underworlds' heavenly light could fully appear, the golden flame once again erupted and blew away the incomplete 9 underworlds' heavenly light. The power of the golden flames was so strong that even some of the early-stage Soul Emperors could only muster up to this level of power. However, the weakness of this golden flame was also very obvious. Although its explosive power was great, its duration was too short. Furthermore, it was not flexible enough. It could be used to deal with the 9 underworld heavenly light, but it would not be of much use in ordinary battles. Long Yu unleashed the 9 underworld heavenly light once more. Lan Shuyan erupted with golden flames once more. This caused Long Yu to confirm that he was unable to unleash the 9 underworld heavenly light against Lan Shuyan. Or perhaps he was temporarily unable to use it. It was obviously not a wise choice to fight against someone stronger than himself. Therefore, Long Yu immediately changed his strategy. He raised his hand and continued to condense endless imprisonment. 12 layers of dark stars condensed and appeared, intending to imprison Lan Shuyan. However, the corner of Lan Shuyan's mouth curved slightly. His figure flashed, and he escaped the range of the condensed dark stars. It was the divine text of space. Previously in the 9 underworlds' heavenly light, the divine text of space was completely sealed, and neither side could use it. However, now that Lan Shuyan had broken the 9 underworlds' heavenly light, he could naturally use the divine text of space to evade. Space, seeing this, Long Yu was not moved at all. He raised his hand again and prepared to condense the star imprisonment. Seeing this situation, the surrounding onlookers sneered. Although this Long Yu was powerful, that was all there was to it. He was completely defeated by Lan Shuyan. The same move was used differently. What effect could it have on a genius at Lan Shuyan's level? At this time, a dark star appeared above Lan Shuyan's head. Lan Shuyan sneered, and his figure flickered. In the blink of an eye, he appeared behind Long Yu. In his hand was a flaming saber formed from condensed golden flames. He slashed down at Long Yu. But at this moment, 12 layers of dark stars appeared directly around Lan Shuyan, imprisoning his whole body. He was imprisoned. Everyone was shocked on the spot. At this time, they all saw clearly that before Lan Xian teleported behind Long Yu began to condense the dark stars behind him as if waiting for Lan Xian to jump in himself. This was the effect of balance control. Before Lan Xian teleported over, the space behind him had changed slightly. These changes allowed Long Yu to predict that Lan Xian would teleport to this position, so he could make arrangements in advance. It was like using a birdcage and waiting for a bird to fly in by itself. Long Yu's 12 layers of infinite imprisonment directly imprisoned Lan Xian in it. But this time, the infinite imprisonment could not even hold for 2 breaths. Lan Xian held the golden flame saber in his hand and split the 12 layers of dark star imprisonment with one slash. Immediately afterward, the flame saber slashed down and directly cut Long Yu in half at the waist. This scene caused the surrounding people to cry out in shock. However, they quickly discovered that the one that was sliced into 2 wasn't Long Yu, but Long Yu's clone. The real Long Yu had actually disappeared from the field. Lan Xian stood alone in the field, holding the golden flame saber in his hand. He frowned slightly and had no choice but to put away the golden flame saber. Before he found Long Yu, it was impossible for him to continue condensing the golden flame saber. This method consumed too much power. Even in his peak state, he could only maintain the golden flame saber for 10 breaths. Now, his whole body's power was almost exhausted, but he still couldn't kill Long Yu, which made him feel a little tricky. Of course, Lan Xian firmly believed that he was in an invincible position. Thinking of this, he directly began to absorb the fire attribute exotic beast crystal in his arms, trying to restore the power consumed in his body. In this kind of life and death battle, it was normal to absorb exotic beast crystals to restore power. Even taking medicinal pills was normal. After all, it was a matter of life and death. As long as no one asked for help, any means would not be too much. Explosive heavenly pill. Then, Lan Xian directly swallowed a fiery red medicinal pill. The power of the fiery divine runes on his body suddenly skyrocketed, shocking everyone around him. Wasn't Lan Xian already in an advantageous position? He had already beaten Long Yu to the point where he didn't dare to show himself. But he still took the exploding heavenly pill. This was a great desolate grade pill. After taking it, it could increase the power of his flame divine runes by 3 times. To Lan Xian, this medicinal pill directly increased his power to the point where he could fight against an early emperor. No one said that he was despicable or shameless, but everyone was puzzled as to why he chose to take the medicinal pill at this time. If you don't come out, then I'll force you out. Lan Xian snorted. After taking the explosive heavenly pill, the golden flames on his body instantly soared and spread in all directions. The golden flames spread across the field. He used his detection divine ability, but he couldn't find any trace of Long Yu. However, he believed that Long Yu was definitely here. Otherwise, if he left this place, it would be the same as admitting defeat. Facing the golden flames, Long Yu had no choice but to show himself. However, showing himself required technique. He couldn't just come out and face the golden flames head-on. Long Yu only had one chance. After taking the explosive heavenly pill, Lan Xian's power was too terrifying. Long Yu couldn't face him head-on. Not to mention the current Lan Xian. Long Yu couldn't even block the golden flames from before. Therefore, he could only use one method, the Red Emperor's cloak. Chapter 862. As the golden flames engulfed the entire arena, everyone felt that Long Yu was done for. Even Qin Yashuang, Xu Chan, and the others became nervous. They were very confident in Long Yu, but Lan Xian had taken the explosive heavenly pill. The entire arena was a sea of golden flames. Even an initial Emperor Realm expert would find it difficult to move, let alone a mid-king realm expert like Long Yu. Under such circumstances, could Long Yu really win? Even Qin Yashuang, Xu Chan, and the others began to doubt it. let alone the others. Almost everyone thought that Long Yu would die without a doubt. Even if he didn't die, he would escape from the arena. If that happened, it would be seen as admitting defeat and he would lose face. It seems that the kid has chosen to escape. If it was me, I would do the same. After all, Lan Shuyin, who has taken the explosive heavenly pill, is an undefeatable existence. That's right. Not to mention that Long Yu is only a mid-king realm expert. Even if he's the Red Emperor's direct disciple, he can't be this heaven-defying. This battle is finally over. Long Yu will either die or escape. The result has been decided. Everyone was discussing. Not a single person was optimistic about Long Yu's chances. However, at this moment, just as the golden flames were about to engulf the entire arena, a red shadow suddenly appeared beside Lan Shuyin. This crimson shadow actually blocked all the golden flames outside, and they were unable to invade it in the slightest. That's the Red Emperor's cloak. Many people quickly thought of the previous battle between Long Yu and Zheng An. One of Zheng An's requests was that he wasn't allowed to use the Red Emperor's cloak. But now, Long Yu and Lan Shuyin's battle didn't have such an agreement. Long Yu used the Red Emperor's cloak to block the fatal blow, but most people were still not optimistic about Long Yu's chances. This was because everyone knew that the Red Emperor's cloak could only be used once a day, and the duration did not exceed 5 breaths. During these 5 breaths, Long Yu was invincible against Lan Shuyin. Because of the protection of the Red Emperor's cloak, no attack from Lan Shuyin could hurt Long Yu. However, could it be that Long Yu could kill Lan Shuyin within these 5 breaths? Simply delusional. When Long Yu appeared with his red cloak, Qin Yishuang, Shu Chan, and the others' eyes lit up. They knew that Long Yu was starting to fight back. As long as Long Yu still had the heart to fight back, victory or defeat wasn't certain. As for Qin Yishuang, Shu Chan, and the rest, they were very confident in Long Yu. And Lan Shuyin was also shocked by Long Yu's actions, but he didn't panic. Instead, the corners of his mouth curled up. He knew that Long Yu would definitely use the Red Emperor's cloak at a critical moment. And this was Long Yu's last resort. These 5 breaths were the time when the Red Emperor's cloak showed its might. Lan Shuyin could only dodge. His figure flashed, and he appeared hundreds of feet away. However, Long Yu arrived there one step ahead. With his balance control, he could clearly grasp where Lan Shuyin was going to teleport to, and then he started to set up in advance. In the sea of golden flames, Long Yu was wearing the red cloak. He was like a small boat in a storm, swaying. However, this small boat carried the hopes of Qin Yishuang, Shu Chan, and the others. Long Yu teleported hundreds of feet away first. The 5-colored siphon divine rune instantly erupted. At the same time, he opened his mouth and swallowed a medicinal pill. Mirage Ghost Pill. In order to kill Lan Shuyin in this short time, Long Yu swallowed the Mirage Ghost Pill. At this moment, the power of his Shadow Divine runes increased by 3 times. Not only that, when he communicated with the Dubhe Star, the power of the Dubhe Star increased the efficacy of the Mirage Ghost Pill. It increased the power of Long Yu's Shadow Divine runes by more than 5 times. Compared to Lan Shuyin, who had taken the explosive Heavenly Pill, which increased his power by 3 times, the difference in power between the 2 sides had shrunk. It's about time. Die for me. Long Yu opened his mouth and a terrifying 9 underworld dragon breath came out. Lan Shuyin seemed to crash into it. His entire body teleported and fell into the 9 underworld dragon breath. At the same time, he was enveloped by the 5-colored siphon divine rune, which imprisoned the power in his body. This imprisonment only lasted for a moment. The most terrifying thing was that while it imprisoned him, the 5-colored siphon divine rune actually began to absorb Lan Shuyin's soul imprint. Lan Shuyin had to endure the terrifying attack of the 9 underworld dragon breath to urge his power to resist the 5-colored siphon divine rune. However, Long Yu didn't give him any time. Although Lan Shuyin only needed a short time to break the soul seal, siphon divine rune, it was the first time he had faced such a method. It still took him 2 breaths of time. And in these 2 breaths of time, Long Yu had spat out 4 9 underworld dragon breaths. If it weren't for the golden flames engulfing the entire area, Long Yu would have condensed the desolate ancient shadow to use the 9 underworld dragon breath together. That way, the destructive power would be even greater. Unfortunately, the golden flames had enveloped the entire area. As soon as Long Yu's desolate ancient shadow appeared, it would be completely annihilated. Condensing the desolate ancient shadow was just a waste of time and energy. After 5 consecutive 9 underworld dragon breaths, the blue flame cloak on Lan Shuyan's body was directly destroyed. Then, the 9 underworld dragon breath finally affected Lan Shuyan's body. As for Lan Shuyan, all his attention was focused on resisting the soul seal, siphon, divine rune. After using 2 breaths of time to break the soul seal, siphon, divine rune, Lan Shuyan was almost unable to withstand it. But then, the 5-colored siphon divine rune filled the sky. It was another move. The power of the 5-colored siphon divine rune instantly corroded his body, forcing him to use all his strength to resist it again. No matter how Lan Shuyan thought about it, he couldn't figure out why he would bump into Long Yu's attack. Furthermore, this didn't seem to be the first time something like this had happened. Could it be that Long Yu had some sort of prediction ability? Lan Shuyan wanted to use the space divine rune and teleport away from here, but he couldn't help but think that even if he teleported to another place, would he still be ambushed by Long Yu? The first time I broke this strange divine rune, I only needed 2 breaths of time. The second time, I only needed 1 breath, and the third time, I only needed half a breath. Let's see if you can still kill me in such a short time. After Lan Shuyan stepped into the Emperor realm, the strength of his physical body had improved again. He didn't believe that a mere King Realm intermediate stage Long Yu could kill him in a short time. As long as he didn't die, the one who would die would be Long Yu. In the sea of golden flames, the 2 fell into a hand-to-hand battle. Long Yu constantly used the 5-colored siphon divine rune and spat out the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds. The red barrier condensed by the Red Emperor's cloak was becoming more and more fragile, and it looked like it was about to dissipate. However, at this time, Long Yu had spat out a total of 10 dragon breaths of the 9 underworlds, but he still wasn't able to kill Lan Shuyan completely. He only suffered some minor injuries. Ha ha ha! You didn't expect this, did you? I have taken a pill refined from an ancient dragon-esque elephant. My physical body is far stronger than an ordinary person's. Lan Shuyan laughed heartily. Seeing that the 5 breaths of protection provided by the Red Emperor's cloak was about to pass, and his physical body was almost completely intact, Lan Shuyan knew that victory was in sight. However, at this time, a vast and majestic power suddenly erupted from Long Yu's body. Lan Shuyan, who was beside himself with joy, was only stunned for a moment before he immediately reacted. He activated the power of the spatial divine rune, and his entire person teleported 200 to 300 feet away. Unfortunately, no matter where he teleported to, it was futile against Long Yu. From the beginning, he had used the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds to attack purely to deceive others. He had never thought that he could use the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds to kill Lan Shuyan. His real trump card was the ancient dragon bone tower. Dragon, skeleton, break. Long Yu summoned the massive creature, and the ancient dragon bone tower started to spin at high speed. It instantly shattered the void and arrived at the place where Lan Shuyan had teleported to at almost the same time. Long Yu once again predicted the location where Lan Shuyan would teleport to. Then, the massive ancient dragon bone tower arrived with a loud bang. Its entire body was covered in a pitch-black glow of the 9 underworlds' divine rune. This was the defense of the 9 underworlds' heavenly barrier. It could actually pass through the entire sea of golden flames unimpeded. The next moment, the ancient dragon bone tower slammed into Lan Shuyan's body. Lan Shuyan didn't even have the chance to scream before he was completely annihilated by the ancient dragon bone tower. Not even his bones were left. The situation had changed too quickly. Everyone was still thinking that Long Yu might very well die in that sea of golden flames just like that. However, in less than a breath's time, there was a huge reversal of the situation. The massive creature, the ancient Dragonbone Tower, appeared and directly occupied the entire sky above the trading square. It spun at high speed and slammed into the ground. Some people with quick reactions were very surprised. Why didn't this thing crash into Lan Shuyan, but the empty space that was more than 2,000 feet away? However, the next moment, they realized that Lan Shuyan had actually teleported to that place and happened to be hit by the top of the giant tower. Lan Shuyan's entire body instantly vaporized and disappeared from this world without a trace. The shock came too quickly, and many people couldn't react in time. Qin Yashuang, Shu Chan, and the rest were already prepared. They knew that Long Yu would definitely counterattack, so they weren't too surprised. However, the joy in their hearts couldn't be concealed at all. However, before most of the people present could react, an unexpected change occurred. Disciple. In the direction of the Nine Sons sect, Lan Shuyan's master, the scarlet-haired elder, immediately cried out. His voice was filled with endless sorrow and hatred. He didn't have long to live anyway, so he had placed all his hopes on Lan Shuyan. However, Lan Shuyan had been killed by Long Yu. Even if he had to put his life on the line, he would kill Long Yu. As soon as the scarlet-haired elder made his move, the temperature of the square rose dramatically. This was a late-stage great emperor, one of the strongest in the entire Nine Sons sect. Whoosh! However, just as he was about to attack, a scarlet figure drifted over from the side and extinguished the flames that the scarlet-haired old man had released in an instant. A figure that was also covered in flames appeared before him. The aura this person exuded was even stronger than the scarlet-haired elders. The Red Emperor's chief disciple, Xing Fa. The surrounding people looked over and were all startled. With Xing Fa here, the old man from the Nine Sons sect wouldn't be able to kill Long Yu even if he went crazy. This battle was finally over, wasn't it? However, to everyone's surprise, the scarlet-haired elder's eyes were bloodshot. Even when he saw Xing Fa, his anger didn't lessen in the slightest. I will kill this brat today. Who dare stop me? Even when facing Xing Fa, the elder was filled with the desire to fight. Chapter 863. As Lan Shuyan was killed by Long Yu, his master, the scarlet-haired old man, was instantly enraged and wanted to kill Long Yu. However, Xing Fa stood in front of him. Xing Fa, the Red Emperor's chief personal disciple and a peak emperor powerhouse, was definitely much stronger than this scarlet-haired old man. If they were to fight in the holy city of the Five Emperors, Xing Fa could easily kill the scarlet-haired old man without taking any responsibility. After all, everyone saw that it was the old man who attacked first. Even so, the scarlet-haired old man still did not retreat and launched an attack on Xing Fa without hesitation. This surprised Xing Fa. He did not expect the scarlet-haired old man to care for his disciple so much. Lan Shuyan's death had made him lose his mind. However, this was also good. It was a good opportunity to eliminate the root of the problem. Now that the old man had made such a move, the punishment hall could kill him openly. It was better than the old man hiding and secretly attacking Long Yu in the future. That would be impossible to guard against. The scarlet-haired old man's terrifying power was completely unleashed, causing the surrounding crowd to retreat. Fortunately, while defending against the scarlet-haired old man's attack, Xing Fa could also take care of the people around him. He condensed a layer of red defensive barrier to protect the people around him. From this, it could be seen that Xing Fa was completely at ease when facing the scarlet-haired old man. On the battlefield, Long Yu kept the dragon skeleton ancient tower and heaved a sigh of relief. However, the next moment, he felt a sense of danger again. There's someone else? Long Yu frowned slightly. He finally understood why the scarlet-haired old man was so desperate to fight Xing Fa. It was because there was someone else in the dark who wanted Long Yu's life. The scarlet-haired old man's move was only to delay Xing Fa. As long as he could delay Xing Fa for a few breaths' time, Long Yu would definitely die. It was the middle-aged man wearing a bamboo hat from the Taiwu Empire. The bamboo-hatted man's younger brother had died in the primordial ruins, and he blamed it all on Long Yu. At this moment, he was trying to kill Long Yu without any regard for the consequences. However, in the next moment, a translucent blade light slashed down from the side, forcing the middle-aged man in the bamboo hat to retreat as he charged at Long Yu. Then, a figure also wearing the Red Emperor's cloak appeared in front of Long Yu. Dao Jingtian, the second direct disciple of the Red Emperor, who had always been inseparable from Xing Fa, also appeared at this moment, protecting Long Yu and repelling the middle-aged man in the bamboo hat from the Taiwu Empire. I want to avenge my brother. No one can stop me. The middle-aged man in the bamboo hat was not surprised at all, because everyone knew that Dao Jingtian and Xing Fa would usually act together. His eyes were bloodthirsty as he looked at Long Yu, as if he was looking at a dead man. Then, he focused on dealing with Dao Jingtian and engaged in a fierce battle with Dao Jingtian. Even if he could only withstand Dao Jingtian for a short period of time, his next plan would be enough to kill Long Yu thousands of times. Just as Dao Jingtian blocked the middle-aged man in the bamboo hat, several figures suddenly jumped out from the crowd. These figures directly attacked Long Yu, and each of them had a cultivation base of the late-stage martial emperor realm. These were assassins sent by the Taiwu Empire, and they were determined to kill Long Yu on the spot. The Taiwu Empire had suffered too great a loss in the Battle of the Ancient Ruins. Almost half of the martial emperors in the empire had died in the ancient ruins, and this was all because of Long Yu. If they did not kill Long Yu as soon as possible, the Taiwu Empire was bound to decline in the future. Since they had already offended him, the Taiwu Empire certainly could not hope that Long Yu would not cause trouble for them in the future. The only way was to kill Long Yu as soon as possible. Unfortunately, how could it be so easy for them to kill Long Yu? A fat figure jumped out from the crowd, and with a wave of his hand, a giant web of divine characters appeared and blocked the four assassins. The four assassins attacked at the same time towards the fat figure. After all, the fat figure was only at the late-stage martial emperor realm. Logically speaking, they should be able to kill him in one move and then continue to kill Long Yu. However, the reality was beyond their expectations. The fat figure laughed wretchedly, and then his entire body instantly swelled up, turning into a big balloon. The four assassins each used their strongest techniques and blasted the big balloon. Then they saw that the big balloon actually bounced all four of them back, and they fell heavily to the ground one by one. This late-stage martial emperor expert's defensive power was so strong. Fifth senior brother, Yulin Feng. Long Yu recognized the fat man at a glance and was a little surprised. He did not expect the fat man to be so strong despite his wretched appearance. He could send four late-stage martial emperors flying with one move. It should be known that Yulin Feng was only in late-stage martial emperor. His defensive power was really scary. Sure enough, it had something to do with his physique. On the other side, the four assassins were blocked by another figure. It was a relatively short swordsman. Although his steps were extremely elegant, it could not cover up the shortcoming of his height. Fourth senior brother, Nalen Junlong, you was quite familiar with him. The elegant decorations of Naren residence had left a deep impression on Long Yu. However, this was the first time Long Yu saw Nalen Jun display his strength. Nalen Jun wasn't tall, but that didn't mean he wasn't strong enough. He wielded an ancient upper-rank crimson sword in his hand, creating countless crimson sword shadows in the air. It looked simple, but it was enough to stop the four late Emperor assassins. I didn't expect so many people to come. Long Yu was a little touched. This was just a small challenge between him and the others. Who knew it would attract the attention of martial emperors? But even so, Xing Fa and the others had already moved to the side to protect Long Yu. Long Yu believed that even if he was no match for Lan Shuyan, his life would not be in danger. At most, Xing Fa and the others would force their way in and admit defeat. If that happened, Lan Shuyin and the others would not be able to do anything. But who would have thought that Long Yu would kill Lan Shuyin in one move? Moreover, Lan Shuyin's master was drawn out to attack Long Yu. Dying. At this time, a cold voice came from the side. The target was Long Yu. Long Yu could feel a chilling aura locking onto him. It was obvious that this was another late-stage emperor who wanted to take his life. My life isn't that easy to take away, Long Yu smiled faintly. He then disguised himself as a gust of wind and disappeared from the scene. In fact, even without Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian, Long Yu could hide for a while with the Book of Shadows. By the time they figured out where Long Yu was, Long Yu would have already returned to the Sacred Tower. Of course, this meant that Long Yu only had to worry about Qin Yashuang, Shu Chan, and the others no matter what. Long Yu was definitely not in danger. The appearance of Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian made the process a lot easier. Originally, when Xing Ji and Dao Jingtian discovered that the ninth assassin was attacking Long Yu, they were alarmed. However, when they saw Long Yu suddenly disappear, to the point where even they could not sense his existence, they immediately became pleasantly surprised. They didn't expect their seventh junior to have such a heaven-defying ability. The ninth assassin did not show himself after losing track of Long Yu. But since he couldn't find his next target, he could only continue hiding and wait for an opportunity. But the opportunity was fleeting. It was obvious that Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian would not give him a chance. In just 5 breaths' time, Xing Fa's body glowed with crimson divine light. It condensed into a beam of divine light and pierced through the heart of Lan Shuyin's furious master, the red-haired old man. As for Dao Jingtian, he slashed down with a translucent blade, cutting the middle-aged man in half from head to toe. Be it Xing Fa or Dao Jingtian, they were people who killed without blinking an eye. In just 5 breaths' time, they had already killed their opponents. Some people didn't even understand what was going on. Then, the two returned to help you Lin Feng and Nailan Jun. In another 10 breaths' time, the 8 assassins were all dead. Then, Xing Fa's eyes turned crimson. He reached out and grabbed a late-stage great emperor from the crowd. You're the last assassin to kill my 7th junior. Xing Fa said plainly. No, it's not. The assassin was terrified. He struggled in Xing Fa's grasp. But in the next moment, the crimson divine light in Xing Fa's hand spread out and wrapped around the assassin's chest. It corroded the assassin's heart and killed him in an instant. The last assassin was dead. Xing Fa was decisive. In just 10 breaths' time, more than a dozen great emperors had died. All of them were late-stage great emperors. This sent shivers down everyone's spines. What kind of people were these? An elder of the Ninth Sun's sect, Lan Shuyin's master, such a tyrannical existence, was killed by Xing Fa in 5 breaths' time. A general from the Taiwu Empire, also a late-stage great emperor, was also cut in half by Dao Jingtian in just 5 breaths' time. At the level of a great emperor, many people didn't feel any blood when they killed. This was because fresh blood couldn't withstand the corrosion of the divine light and would easily vaporize. But now, whether it was Xing Fa or Dao Jingtian, each of their attacks had drawn blood. This was the Red Emperor's direct disciple. The Red Emperor, wasn't he the Emperor of Blood? Anyone who received the Red Emperor's true inheritance would definitely comprehend a source-grade divine light of life, and that was the crimson divine light. Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian acted and killed all the troublemakers. The crimson-haired elder and the bamboo hat middle-aged man's miserable state caused the others from the Ninth Sun sect and Taiwu Empire to tremble in fear. They didn't dare make another move. As for the burly middle-aged man from the Watermoon Sword sect, he'd given up on the idea of avenging his disciple, Zheng, in the moment he saw Xing Fa. First, Zheng didn't have much of a place in his heart. He wouldn't allow Zheng On to die for the sake of Lan Shuyin, like the crimson-haired elder. Second, this burly middle-aged man wasn't old. He had plenty of time. If he were to make a move now, The result would only be death, so why bother? The crowd quieted down. Long Yu's figure slowly appeared next to Xing Fa and looked around. Chapter 864. The entire place was silent until Xing Fa said in a low voice, "This massacre was not my intention. However, my seventh junior brother killed Lan Shuyan in a fair fight to the death. Those who want to break the rules of the fight and seek revenge afterward can only die. Not only that, we will also investigate the sects and empires of the perpetrators, including the origins of these killers. This matter is not over yet." After Xing Fa finished speaking, he turned his gaze to where the Taiwu Empire, Nine Suns sect, and the others were, causing the hearts of those forces to turn even colder. In the Nine Suns sect, one of Lan Xuan's senior brothers mustered up his courage, took 2 steps forward, and said to Xing Fa sternly, "One should bear the consequences of his own actions. This matter is entirely Lan Xuan and his master's fault. No one else can be blamed. You can't blame this on the Nine Suns sect. Is that so? However, isn't Lan Xuan a member of your Nine Suns sect?" Xing Fa's eyes flashed red as he looked at that person. "This, I can go back and report to the sect, and let the sect elders announce that Lan Xuan and his master are expelled from the Nine Suns sect. Do you think this is feasible?" That person was frightened by Xing Fa, and could not help but take 2 steps back. Then, he said with a trembling voice, "Not enough." Xing Fa said coldly, "I heard that Lan Xuan still has many personal senior brothers, and they may also be related to this matter." Hearing this, that person said cautiously, "Then what if we expel Lan Xuan's faction from the Nine Suns sect? Kill them, leave no one alive, and the Nine Suns sect will be safe." Xing couldn't be bothered to beat around the bush, so he went straight to the point. His request made the man swallow his saliva. Let their own people kill their own people? That was a little too much. However, Xing Fa was standing in front of him, and he did not dare to not lower his head. He could only say, "In that case, I can only go back and discuss with the sect elders. I can't give you an answer for now. In 3 days, I will wait for your Nine Suns sect's answer." Xing Fa said coldly, "The same goes for our Taiwu Empire." On the Taiwu Empire's side, someone mustered up the courage to stand up and say, "There is only one person who broke the agreement and attacked. The others have nothing to do with this matter. That person is already dead, and the Taiwu Empire will not accept any investigation." "You're different from the Nine Suns sect." Dao Jingtian, who had been silent all this while, suddenly said, "After all, you're not a sect, but an empire. The person who died must have a huge family in your empire. How can you be so sure that the members of that family are not involved in this matter? It's very likely that these assassins were all hired by that family." The man from the Taiwu Empire was stunned. Indeed, empires and sects were different. As for the Nine Suns sect, it was enough to expel Lan Xuan and his master's faction from the sect. There were only a dozen or so people in the sect, and they could cut ties with them. However, the Taiwu Empire could not. This was because the bamboo hat middle-aged man's family still existed in the Taiwu Empire. How powerful was a big family in the empire? This big family had at least 1,000 people. Within 3 days, I want to see the Taiwu Empire's sincerity. Otherwise, don't blame us for investigating personally." Dao Jingtian said lightly, but everyone could hear the threat in his tone. "Yes, we'll definitely report to the Taiwu Emperor when we return." The man from the Taiwu Empire nodded quickly and led the crowd away. There were only 3 days left to deal with this matter, and they had to hurry up. Obviously, Dao Jingtian's words were, in fact, a way to give the Taiwu Empire a way out. In fact, Xing Fa, Dao Jingtian, and the others all knew that this matter might have been planned by the Taiwu Empire. However, the Taiwu Empire was one of the 6 sects and 10 kingdoms, and it was quite troublesome to deal with. It would take at least a year and a half to settle. The Conference of Divine Martial Emperors was about to begin, and now the alliance of 5 emperors did not have the energy to deal with the entire Taiwu Empire. In this case, it was better to narrow the scope. As long as all the families of the troublemakers were wiped out, this matter could be considered to have come to an end. In fact, Dao Jingtian did not even need to do it himself. He believed that under such a threat, the upper echelons of the Taiwu Empire would definitely deal with the matter beautifully and uproot the family from the Taiwu Empire. Long Yu stood quietly at the side, watching Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian deal with this matter. He had to admit that he had truly witnessed the means of his two senior brothers. Not only were they strong, but they were also very wise. Today's matter wasn't enough to destroy the Nine Sons sect or the Taiwu Empire, but if they wanted to display the might of the five emperors and the five emperors' holy city, they definitely had to deal with a group of people. This group of people was commonly known as sacrifices and cannon fodder. In the Nine Sons sect, Lan Shuyin and his master's faction were cannon fodder. It was conceivable that the others in the Nine Sons sect would be very dissatisfied with the two of them for causing such a big trouble. It would not be too difficult to expel them from the Nine Sons sect. In the Nine Sons sect, there were also factions fighting. Now that Lan Shuyin's faction was wiped out, it was also good for the others. In fact, the Nine Sons sect only had to consider the issue of the sect's reputation. Was it right to bow down to Xing Fa like this? At the very least, they had to bow down to the Red Emperor. No one would say anything if they bowed down to the five emperors, but if they bowed down to Xing Fa, the meaning was different. As for Dao Jingtian's method of dealing with the Taiwu Empire, it was the same. If Xing Fa ordered the Taiwu Emperor to wipe out a large family in the empire with just a word, where would the dignity of the Taiwu Emperor be? The only one who could give such an order was the five emperors. Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian were also aware of this, but their words could almost completely represent the Red Emperor. The two of them were not worried that the Nine Sons sect and the Taiwu Empire would not obey. Within 3 days, the Nine Sons sect and the Taiwu Empire would send news. They believed that it would not disappoint. Long Yu thought that Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian's handling of this matter was quite good. They had considered all aspects, and it was clear that their intelligence was not low. However, Long Yu was not satisfied with this. The Nine Sons sect and the Taiwu Empire had been dealt with, but there were still other forces present. Just from what Long Yu saw, there were the Qin clan, the Gongsun clan, and the Water Moon Sword sect. There was no doubt that they were all eyeing him covetously. Long Yu did not want to be targeted at all times. Although he had a way to escape, who would want to be hunted down? Therefore, he had to settle this once and for all. After the people from the Taiwu Empire and the Nine Sons sect left, Long Yu stood up and looked around. He first cast his gaze in the direction where the people from the Qin clan were, and then at the Qin clan patriarch, Qin Zhongyu. Just now, Qin Zhongyu had led the Qin clan's people to bully Qin Yishuang and Zisu. Of course, Long Yu had felt it. This old fellow had not given up on his evil intentions. He had always wanted to use Qin Yishuang to seduce Lan Shuyin. Long Yu originally thought that his previous visit to the Qin clan had made this person understand the situation. He did not expect that this Qin Zhongyu would still be so stubborn. Such a fellow, Long Yu had to teach him a lesson. Qin Zhongyu. Long Yu looked at Qin Zhongyu and called out his name. This gave Qin Zhongyu a fright. The current Qin Zhongyu did not dare to say anything to Qin Yishuang and the others. He could not wait to leave. What had happened in such a short period of time had left him dumbfounded. Long Yu had killed Lan Shuyin. Long Yu's senior brothers had joined forces to kill more than 10 late-stage martial emperors. Qin Zhongyu had yet to recover from this shocking scene, and Long Yu had called out his name. How could he not be shocked? Yes, yes. Qin Zhongyu hurriedly bowed his head respectfully. Of course, with his character, it was not because of Long Yu, but because of Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian's presence. If not for Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian's appearance, Qin Zhongyu would have been kneeling and licking the soles of Nine Sons sect shoes. I, Long Yu, challenge Qin Zhongyu to a battle of life and death. The time will be after the Martial God Conference. Do you dare? Long Yu stared straight at Qin Zhongyu as he asked. Qin Zhongyu was an early-stage martial emperor. He was considered weak amongst martial emperors. That was why the Qin clan was only a small clan in the holy city of the five emperors. But no matter what, he was still an early-stage martial emperor. He had already comprehended some deduction abilities. Martial emperors with deduction abilities were definitely much stronger than the current Lan Shuyan. Moreover, a casual move from them could match the might of Lan Shuyan's golden flames. In fact, it might even be slightly stronger. And now, Long Yu was challenging an early-stage martial emperor, Qin Changyu. Qin Changyu was stunned. He did not expect Long Yu to challenge him to a battle of life and death. Although the time was a year later, after the Martial God Conference, how much progress could Long Yu have made in a mere year? At the very most, Emperor Realm. Many in the crowd burst into laughter. They all thought that Long Yu was being too arrogant. Challenging an Emperor Realm expert? Did he not know the gap between Martial Emperor Realm and Martial Emperor Realm? However, to everyone's surprise, Qin Changyu did not agree. He was terrified. He had underestimated Long Yu many times, putting himself in an awkward position. Qin Changyu's estimation of Long Yu was definitely higher than most. Hearing Long Yu's challenge, he pondered for a moment and said in a low voice, "Long Yu, you are a junior, and I am a senior. A junior challenging an elder to a battle of life and death. It's not appropriate." As soon as he said that, many people in the surroundings were speechless. Just how terrified was this Qin clan head? He didn't even dare to accept Long Yu's challenge. Don't be in such a hurry to refuse. Long Yu smiled faintly. If you defeat me in the battle, I guarantee that my senior brother won't come looking for trouble with you. In fact, I'll even give you 100 million Shinbi as a wager. How about it? 100 million Shinbi. Qin Changyu's breathing quickened when he heard this. In truth, he was wary of Long Yu, which was why he didn't dare to accept Long Yu's challenge. However, this fear wasn't too strong. He just didn't want to take risks out of habit. But that was when there was no benefit to be gained. Now, Long Yu was willing to bet 100 million Shinbi for him to accept the challenge. What kind of concept was 100 million Shinbi? If Qin Changyu had 100 million Shinbi right now, he would be able to advance to the late Emperor Realm. In an instant, Qin Changyu's expression changed to one of eagerness and greed. Since you insist, I will accept the challenge. Chapter 865. Qin Yashuang and Zi Su stood at the side, not saying a word. When they heard that Qin Changyu had agreed to a life or death challenge with Long Yu, they were completely disappointed. Such a shameless person actually agreed to a life or death challenge with Long Yu for a mere 100 million Shinbi. What a disgrace. Most of the cultivators present expressed their disdain for Qin Changyu's shamelessness. However, Qin Changyu didn't care about it at all. His mind was occupied with the 100 million Shinbi. Qin Changyu felt that he had a 90% chance of winning the battle with Long Yu. A fat figure came to Long Yu's side, patted his shoulder and laughed. "Little Seven, I didn't expect you to be so bold. You dare to challenge a great emperor expert to a life or death battle with a mid-king realm expert. Amazing. Fifth senior brother is the amazing one. 1 against 4, haha." Long Yu laughed. The fat Yulin Feng laughed mischievously, obviously feeling quite proud of this. Nailin Jun, on the other hand, suddenly said, "They're just 4 pieces of trash. You were actually able to block the attacks of 4 pieces of trash, yet you were able to be so smug for so long. What a joke." Nailin Jun and Yulin Feng had always been at loggerheads, and this time was no exception. The matter in the field hadn't been settled yet, and the two were already bickering again. Long Yu's face darkened. Ignoring the two, he turned around and looked to the other side. Gongsun clan. Long Yu looked at the Gongsun clan's patriarch, Gongsun Rong. This mid-emperor expert narrowed his eyes and said, "Patriarch Gongsun, I know you hate me to the bone." Gongsun Rong had just witnessed the brutality of Xing Fei and Dao Jingtian. How could he dare to show his hatred for Long Yu? He quickly put on a smile and said, "Not at all. Young Master Long is talented. Even if you kill my son, it's because my son failed to recognize Mount Tai. Gong Sun Rong hurried to explain. He wanted to show that he didn't hate Long Yu. But how could Long Yu believe him? After all, the person he killed was this person's son. Long Yu was not afraid of Gong Sun Rong's frontal attack, but he was afraid that he would play some tricks in the dark, so he had to calm this person down today. Clan head Gong Sun Rong, I'll give you a chance to exact your vengeance right now. The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up as he said, I, Long Yu, challenge you to a battle to the death. The time is the same as before, after the Divine Martial Imperial Conference. Do you dare to accept? As soon as these words came out, everyone in the surroundings immediately quieted down. Everyone looked at Long Yu, then looked at Gong Sun Rong, and they were somewhat in disbelief. Long Yu just challenged an early-stage martial emperor, Qin Zhongyu, and now he was challenging a mid-stage martial emperor, Gong Sun Rong. The Gong Sun clan was considered a decent power in the holy city of the Five Emperors. With a mid-stage martial emperor as their clan head, the cultivation resources of the clans used were quite plentiful. Gong Sun Rong's strength was unquestionable. He was a true mid-stage martial emperor. If Lan Shuyan's golden flames could be said to be at the level of an early-stage martial emperor, then it was nothing against a mid-stage martial emperor like Gong Sun Rong. Although the time of the battle was set for a year later, how much could a mid-stage martial king reach in a year's time? Advancing 2 levels to the early-stage martial emperor realm was the best estimate. This was the fastest record in the history of the holy city of the Five Emperors. The current Long Yu could kill early-stage martial emperors like Lan Shuyan and Zheng En with his mid-stage martial king strength. Therefore, when Long Yu stepped into the early-stage martial emperor realm, he should be able to fight a late-stage martial emperor. At most, he would be able to fight an ordinary early-stage martial emperor, but not a mid-stage martial emperor. Without a doubt, everyone thought that Long Yu was crazy to challenge Gong Sun Rong. He was too arrogant. On the other hand, Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian's 4 senior brothers looked at Long Yu in astonishment. They were rather interested in the challenges that Long Yu had proposed. Lan Shuyan could see from the life or death challenge that Long Yu would not have proposed such a challenge if he wasn't confident. Then, what kind of confidence did he have? What did Long Yu have that allowed him to reach the level of a mid-stage martial emperor in a year's time? When Long Yu issued a challenge to Gong Sun Rong, even Gong Sun Rong himself was stunned. He never imagined that Long Yu would actually dare to issue a challenge to him. Furthermore, it was a life-and-death battle, and the time was after the martial god meeting. Was this brat courting death? However, Gong Sun Rong was not an idiot. He chuckled. Young Master Long must be joking. Isn't a challenge not suitable for us? Moreover, you've already challenged the Qin family's patriarch. If you die in Qin Zhongyu's hands, what's the point of our life or death challenge? As long as you agree to the challenge, as long as you live after the challenge, I'll give you 100 million Shinbi. Long Yu wasn't worried that the other party would refuse. He continued to tempt him. I'm very doubtful. Where did you get so many Shinbi? Gong Sun Rong did not feel dizzy. Instead, he narrowed his eyes and asked, I do. Even if you don't believe me, you should believe my senior brothers, right? Long Yu smiled faintly. That's right. I can vouch for 7th junior brother. Xing Fa said expressionlessly, not to mention 100 million. I can even take out 1 billion. Very well. Gong Sun Rong's face darkened. I, Gong Sun Rong, accept your challenge. A life or death challenge. I hope you can survive the Qin family's patriarch. Don't disappoint me. Don't worry, Long Yu said lightly. At this time, the Qin family's patriarch, Qin Zhongyu, who had just accepted Long Yu's challenge, was trembling. He didn't expect that Long Yu would challenge the Gong Sun family's patriarch. Gong Sun Rong was a mid-stage martial emperor. The Qin family was weaker than the Gong Sun family because of the difference in strength between their patriarchs. Gong Sun Rong could probably fight 5 patriarchs at Qin Zhongyu's level. Now, Long Yu challenged Gong Sun Rong. Even if Long Yu didn't have the confidence to win, he could at least contend with Gong Sun Rong. Where did he get his confidence from? No matter what, Qin Zhongyu was somewhat afraid. It was hard to imagine that a martial emperor expert like him would be afraid of a mid-stage martial emperor. However, he couldn't help but be afraid because Long Yu's actions were too confident, so confident that it was hard to doubt his words. Could it be that Long Yu had a strong backing? That's right. Since the Gongsun family's patriarch has agreed, then there's still one more challenge. Long Yu then shifted his gaze towards the direction of a Shui West Sword sect. The middle-aged man from the Shui West Sword sect revealed a smile. This smile made the middle-aged man's heart skip a beat as he thought of a possibility. This kid, could it be that he wanted to challenge me? The middle-aged man shook his head, thinking that he was too muddle-headed. One must know that he was a late-stage martial emperor expert, Zheng En's master in the Shui West Sword sect. How could Qin Zhongyu and Gongsun Rome be compared to him? Although he wasn't on the same level as Lan Shuyan's master, he could easily deal with someone like Gongsun Rome. He could kill one with a flip of his hand. This Long Yu challenging Gongsun Rome was already his limit. How could he challenge him now? However, the burly middle-aged man was immediately stunned. The one from the Shui West Sword sect, the one with a giant sword on his back, exuding a murderous aura. What's your name? Long Yu smiled and said, "All right, I killed your disciple. I'm really sorry. But no matter what your name is, I, Long Yu, challenge you to a battle of life and death. Do you accept?" The atmosphere of the crowd exploded as soon as these words came out. Was this Long Yu courting death? To challenge a late-stage martial emperor from the Shui West Sword sect. The burly man carried a giant sword on his back, exuding a murderous aura, but his expression froze when he heard Long Yu's words. He couldn't believe that Long Yu really challenged him to a battle. He wanted to avenge his disciple, Zheng En, but he didn't think it would be in such a manner. Haha, isn't this Long Yu courting death? A mere mid-stage martial king challenging a late-stage martial emperor? One should know that he could kill someone like Long Yu with a single slap. But now, this Long Yu challenged him to a battle of life and death. I'm Ji Haokong, one of the 18 elders of the Shui West Sword sect. The burly middle-aged man sneered. You challenged me to a battle of life and death. Is it the same as the other two after the Martial God Conference? That's right. Long Yu nodded. You only said after the Martial God Conference, but you didn't specify how long it would be, Ji Haokong sneered. I know you're talented. Do you want to cultivate for 10 years and reach the martial emperor realm before challenging me? That's a long time, forgive me. I can't wait that long. This guy was quite smart. Long Yu's eyes lit up, but he still smiled and said, Don't worry. 3 days after the godly martial emperor meeting ends, our arranged battle will begin. When was the divine martial emperor assembly? Ji Haokong asked stubbornly. This time's divine martial emperor conference will be held 1 year later. Long Yu said with certainty. Then I, Ji Haokong, accept your challenge. Long Yu, I hope you can live long enough to fight me. After confirming, Ji Haokong laughed and turned to leave. His disciple's death was avenged in just 1 year. Of course he was happy. He had never imagined that Long Yu would have the strength to deal with him after the divine martial imperial conference. This was because the gap between the two of them was too great, and Long Yu only had a mere year of time. It was true that Long Yu had made great progress in the past year, but would Ji Haokong not have improved as well? Everyone's strength was constantly improving. Ji Haokong was a late-stage martial emperor. He might reach the peak martial emperor realm at any time. At that point, Long Yu would be no match for Ji Haokong. Ji Haokong had actually agreed to Long Yu's challenge. Everyone was shocked. This time, even the punishment master and Dao Jingtian were shocked. Ji Haokong's words shocked everyone present. Challenging Ji Haokong, a late-stage martial emperor. Even if the punishment master were to personally deal with such a person, he would need to spend 3 breaths of time to finish him off. Would Long Yu be able to fight against Ji Haokong in 1 year? Chapter 866. Everyone present was stunned by Long Yu's actions, including Xing Zi, Doubt, Jing Tian, and the other senior brothers. They were all struck by lightning. Duel to the death with the head of the Qin clan, an early-stage Seoul emperor, Qin Zhongyue. Duel to the death with the head of the Gongsun clan, a mid-stage Seoul emperor, Gongsun Rome. Lastly, the 10 crystals from the Water Moon Sword sect. You seem to need them. Yes, I do. Long Yu nodded with a smile. He had 3,571st grade divine runic crystals on him right now. It was a shocking number, but it wasn't enough for him. He wanted to repair the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda and upgrade it to an Archean combatant, but that would require 10,000 crystals. Thus, Long Yu was more interested in divine runic crystals, and he didn't refuse any. Now that the Punishment Hall had taken out the divine rune crystals to give to Long Yu as a greeting gift, Long Yu certainly wouldn't refuse. After all, the Punishment Hall was his senior apprentice brother, and they had gone to great lengths to prepare a greeting gift. If he refused, then he wouldn't be giving them face. 6,000 in total. Xing Mo smiled and said, in the half a year that you weren't around, each of us bought almost all the divine rune crystals on the market. When we heard that you came back, you exchanged them for the batch of divine rune crystals that the Five Emperors Alliance had just obtained. We knew that we had prepared well. 6,000. That much. Despite being mentally prepared, Long Yu was still shocked. This was heaven-defying. 6,000 first-grade divine runic crystals? This was an amount of divine rune crystals that could only be obtained by destroying 20 exotic beast layers. Not much. In fact, the 6 of us have prepared this for you. Each of us has prepared 1,000 pills. Xing Fa smiled. Your third senior sister came back from her training and wanted to see you. Unfortunately, she went into seclusion after you were gone for so long. What's third senior sister's name? Long Yu was curious. Ina the Jade Flute, Fatty's older sister. Xing Fa said. Long Yu was stunned when he heard this. Jade Flute chant? Yulin Feng? Are they brother and sister? Both brother and sister had actually become the direct disciples of the Red Emperor. This was truly shocking. Long Yu didn't know before, but now that he knew, he was shocked. Anyone who hears this news will be as shocked as you. Xing Fa laughed. Immediately afterward, the head enforcer placed a total of 6,000 first-grade divine rune crystals of various attributes into a space ring battle weapon and handed it to Long Yu. Thank you, senior brothers. Long Yu could not help but feel a little excited. Even though he was extremely wealthy now, it was still difficult for him to gather 10,000 divine rune crystals. He hadn't expected that Xing Fa and the others would each gather 1,000, giving him 6,000. With the addition of the 6,000, Long Yu had 9,500 divine rune crystals, just a little short of 10,000. This gave Long Yu some confidence. If he could repair the ancient dragon skeleton tower into a supreme-grade, archaic-level battle weapon, it would become Long Yu's absolute defense. Even a martial emperor would not be able to shatter it with their full strength. Of course, it would be difficult to shatter it immediately. In order for the ancient dragon skeleton tower to have the strongest defense, the 9 underworld screen had to be activated. However, the 9 underworld screen could only be used 5 times a day. Without the protection of the 9 underworld screen, the ancient dragon skeleton tower would not be able to withstand the continuous attacks of a martial emperor. I still have to thank senior sisters. Xing Fa smiled. Long Yu nodded. He thought of Yu Hanxin and his third senior sister whom he had yet to meet. They had a share of the 6,000 divine rune crystals. If Master has a new direct disciple in the future, you'll have to help him pick out a gift, haha. Xing Fa patted Long Yu's shoulder with a smile. That's not a problem. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. It was a piece of cake for him to pick out a gift. Although he did not have much wealth at the moment, he had many treasures that ordinary people had never seen before. Any one of the hundreds of pills would be a priceless treasure. If it was his junior brother or sister, it was no big deal to give them a pill. Prepare yourself well. There's only 1 year left until the competition. If you can break through to the martial emperor realm, hold it back for now. Otherwise, you'll miss out on a great opportunity. Xing Fa said to Long Yu meaningfully. Long Yu recalled what the envoy of death had found out, and couldn't help but ask, "First senior brother, I've heard about this before. I want to ask, have you ever entered one of the 7 forbidden areas with the prodigies?" Becoming the champion of the Emperor realm meant that one had the right to enter one of the 7 forbidden areas of the Shunwu world together with the prodigies. It was the pillar of the Juyo Dragon Emperor's miniature world, which contained an extremely powerful inner world force. Entering it could strengthen one's inner world, making it a great opportunity. Long Yu wanted to know just how talented were the prodigies from the Divine Battle Realm. Hearing Long Yu's question, Xing Fa slightly frowned, then said, "I've been there, but I didn't get much benefit. Those prodigies from the Divine Battle Realm were too strong. They even had combat weapons, martial skills, and pills that surpassed the Archean realm. Our Shenwu world's martial cultivators aren't a match for them at all." Chapter 867. Next, Long Yu went back to the North Snow Dynasty. This time, he brought many people, including Liao Lele and Fengyu Xian. Liao Lele was called by Long Yu to be an alchemist. There were also a few women who were originally from the Alchemy Hall of the Heavenly Mandate Manor. They followed Liao Lele to help. As for Fengyu Xian, Long Yu gave her the Sufferer's Flute, an ancient top-grade weapon. If her martial arts realm could be improved rapidly, then she could also use this weapon to gain a place in the competition for the strongest king realm. The other ancient top-grade weapon, the Divine Halberd of Berserkers, was given to Feng Xiaofei. This was because Feng Xiaofei was originally compatible with the divine text of Berserkers, so he was more suitable for this weapon. As for the others, Long Yu did not have so many weapons. He only told everyone that they could accept more tasks from the major forces in the holy city of the 5 emperors. That way, they could get more cultivation resources. Even if they only cultivated in seclusion in the Dragon Realm, relying only on the Star Soul formation, everyone's cultivation speed would be many times faster. It could not be compared to when they were in the Heavenly Mandate Manor. Long Yu registered the main figures of the Heavenly Mandate Manor on the list of the Alliance of 5 Emperors in the Dragon Realm. As long as others came, they could be taken to the Dragon Realm, so it would be much more convenient for them to move. The reason why he arranged all this was that Long Yu would be in seclusion for a year. Before the competition for the strongest king realm began, he would not appear in front of anyone. When he appeared again, he would be in a completely new state. Because of this, he killed Lan Shuyin in the holy city of the 5 emperors and showed all his skills openly. Because after a year, when the competition for the strongest king realm began, all of Long Yu's skills would become stronger, and he might even have many more tricks up his sleeves. Exposing his strength now was not a big deal. It might even cause people to have a wrong guess about Long Yu's strength. 3 days later, Nine Sun Sect and the Taiwu Empire sent a reply regarding the previous incident. Because Lan Shuyin and his master's faction had violated the rules set by the 5 emperors and attempted to kill people in the holy city of the 5 emperors, the Nine Suns sect punished the remaining 12 people of this faction by crippling their dantians. They became 12 cripples and handed them over to the chief disciple of the Red Emperor, Xing Fa, for Xing Fa to punish on their behalf. The punishment didn't allow them to say anything, and he killed these 12 people. As for the Taiwu Empire, it was much simpler. Due to the involvement of the middle-aged man in the bamboo hat in this incident, Grand Emperor Taiwu was furious and ordered the execution of the entire clan, including the servants. There were more than 1,000 men and women in that clan, and all of them were slaughtered. Even though Long Yu was used to seeing massacres, he still could not bear to see such a one-sided massacre of clan. However, this was the Shenwu world, a world where martial arts were respected. The middle-aged man in the bamboo hat, in order to take revenge on Long Yu, had caused the destruction of his entire clan. It was extremely sad, but if one wanted to investigate the root of the problem, Long Yu could not be blamed. After all, Long Yu was only a victim. The real culprit was undoubtedly the current ruler of the Taiwu Empire. He had issued an order to capture Long Yu in the ancient ruins of the Shun Luo Empire, causing the Taiwu Empire to suffer heavy losses. The middle-aged man in the bamboo hat in the Bamboo Hats clan was only a sacrificial offering by the higher-ups of the Taiwu Empire. With these two pieces of news, and the fact that Long Yu had previously challenged Qin Changyu, Gong Sun Rong, and Ji Haokong, no one else in the holy city of the Five Emperors would be interested in Long Yu for the time being. Similarly, Long Yu's people in the holy city of the Five Emperors would no longer be deliberately bullied by others. Because once these people were provoked, it was possible that Long Yu would be drawn out, and then Xing Fa and the others would be drawn out. Wasn't the lesson of Lan Shuyan of the Nine Sons sect enough for those who wanted to deal with Long Yu to understand the situation? As for Long Yu himself, after receiving these two pieces of news, he embarked on his journey to meet the envoy of death again to ask for his help in his cultivation. There were 6 main directions for Long Yu's cultivation. First, of course, he had to first take the Star God pill and to try to break through to the transcendent state of the Dubhe Qi guiding technique. Then, he could cultivate or take other pills. The effect would soar, and he would get twice the result with half the effort. Second, he had to take all the ordinary pills exchanged from the Alliance of Five Emperors, plus the special crystals of the Emperor's stage. Long Yu was ready to break through to the late stage of the King's stage. If he succeeded, he would be able to expand his inner world to a radius of 10,000 miles and integrate the true spirit of the dragon of 9 underworlds into his inner world, giving birth to the power of origin. At this level, Long Yu would be able to put all the tens of thousands of Ice God clan exotic beasts sealed in the Azura ancient palace into his inner world, including the 10 sacred garden guards who followed him from the Shinluo Empire. They would all become a part of the power of Long Yu's inner world. The third option was to consume 38 medicinal pills that were compatible with divine characters. These medicinal pills were all Archean or ancient era grade, and their medicinal effect were terrifying. Each of them had the same effect as the Heavenly Demon Pill, and they were divided into 8 major attributes. After taking these pills, Long Yu's compatibility with the divine characters of the Shadow attribute would definitely reach the 9th level, and he would be able to start cultivating divine formations. Although he didn't know what kind of divine formation cultivation method the Envoy of Death would teach him, Long Yu was sure that it would definitely increase his strength to the next level. Apart from that, the 38 pills that were compatible with the divine characters only had the side effect of increasing their compatibility with the divine characters. They also contained an endless amount of heaven and earth energy. Long Yu only planned on using this heaven and earth energy to expand his inner world to a radius of 10,000 li. In other words, he wanted to reach the peak of the King Realm, but not the Emperor Realm. Long Yu had to participate in the strongest King Realm competition no matter what, and if there was any heaven and earth energy left, Long Yu planned on using it to comprehend secret martial arts and balance control. Just the first level of balance control was enough to give Long Yu a taste of sweetness. If he could cultivate it to a higher level, he would definitely be able to fight with even greater ease. Fourth, he had to take the 25 thaumaturgy seed pills. These 25 pills were all archaic or ancient supreme grade and supreme grade pills with terrifying effects. Moreover, these thaumaturgy seed pills couldn't be refined in the Shunwu world because the Shinwu world couldn't find any of the materials needed. These materials could only be found in the divine rune origins. And of course, the divine rune origins didn't exist in the Shunwu world. With these 25 pills, all 3 of Long Yu's high-rank Khanate thaumaturgy would become true Monarch Dao. After attaining the Monarch Dao, not only would his thaumaturgy be stronger, but it would also strengthen Long Yu's inner world. After all, a martial cultivator's inner world was supported by the 7 Khanate thaumaturgy. And just like before, the heaven and earth energy within these 25 pills could be used to cultivate secret martial arts and balance control. At this point, there were only 4 endless rank pills left. Long Yu didn't plan on taking them right now. These 4 endless rank pills were for him to break through to the Emperor Realm or even the late Emperor Realm. One had to know that these were endless rank pills. If it was an ordinary martial cultivator at his level, they wouldn't be able to absorb the endless rank pills even if they obtained them. This was because the heaven and earth energy within them was too dense. A King Realm martial cultivator might explode and die if they tried to forcefully absorb it. But Long Yu had the Nether Void Dragon Blade, so he didn't have this problem. With the first 4 steps completed, Long Yu's cultivation was on the right track. Although he had only risen by 1 level, his overall strength had increased at least tenfold. The 5th step was to continue cultivating the Death Realm body refinement with the help of the Envoy of Death. This top-grade Archean rank body refinement martial skill was very useful to Long Yu. It had already saved his life many times. If he continued to cultivate the Death Realm body refinement, then his physical strength would reach a level that ordinary Emperor Realm cultivators would find difficult to reach. A peak King Realm cultivator could possess the physical strength of a peak Emperor Realm cultivator. This was a shocking thing to say. Before Long Yu left, he had left Liao Lele with the ancient dragonesque elephant and other refining materials. He hoped that she would have a breakthrough in pill refining a year later and be compatible with the embittered sea cauldron. If that was the case, she would be able to refine many pills. After taking the pills refined from the ancient dragonesque elephant, Long Yu's physical strength would increase greatly once again. It would reach an unimaginable level, and he would even be able to kill any Emperor Realm martial cultivator with his physical strength alone. The 6th step was related to the 9,500 divine rune crystals on Long Yu's body. He didn't plan to repair the ancient dragon skeleton tower to the Archean rank so quickly, because there was no need for that at the moment. He planned to first choose 3,000 divine text crystals and transform them so that he could completely comprehend the divine text of death, the divine text of Azura, and the divine text of Siphon. According to the Envoy of Death, if he could completely comprehend both the divine text of death and the divine text of Azura, he would be able to use a fusion divine formation. The Envoy of Death was willing to teach him that for free. This was quite attractive to Long Yu. The above 6 aspects were what Long Yu wanted to improve in the next year. Time was of the essence, and he didn't know if he could complete these steps in time. But no matter what, Long Yu's goal was undoubtedly first place in the battle of the strongest King Realm in a year's time. When he came out of seclusion, he would only be a peak King Realm cultivator, but he would definitely be able to deal with ordinary early Emperor Realm cultivators like Qin Changyu. This was because most of the things that Long Yu had mastered surpassed the Shenwu world. Such an exaggerated battle against those with higher cultivation levels wasn't all that exaggerated. Long Yu's current goal wasn't the Shenwu world, but the geniuses from beyond the heavens. As for Qin Changyu, Gong Sun Rong, and Ji Haokong who would challenge him to a life or death battle, they were nothing more than stepping stones for Long Yu. In fact, Long Yu's goal wasn't just to get first place in the strongest King Realm competition. Long Yu wanted to give it a shot, even in the strongest Emperor Realm. 7 days after the Monarch level competition, the Emperor level competition would take place. During that time, Long Yu could use endless grade medicinal pills to increase his cultivation level, and then participate in the Emperor level competition to familiarize himself with the power of an Emperor level expert. Once he had a solid foundation, he would be able to increase his cultivation level again. What if he took first place in the strongest Emperor Realm competition again? Chapter 868. 1 year was neither too long nor too short. During this year, many things happened in the 5 Emperors' holy city, but none of them had anything to do with Long Yu. During this year, Long Yu completely disappeared and went into closed-door cultivation. Even Qin Yashuang, Shu Chan, and the others didn't get to see Long Yu. There was no need to mention the others, but most people knew that Long Yu was definitely in closed-door cultivation in order to make a name for himself at the strongest King Realm gathering. It wasn't just Long Yu. In fact, during this year, many people were preparing for the grand meeting of God Martial Emperors. Whether it was King Realm, Emperor Realm, or even Emperor Realm cultivators, they all took the grand meeting of God Martial Emperors very seriously, because this was a gathering of Emperor Realm cultivators that only happens once every 50 years. As for the strongest King Realm and strongest Emperor Realm competition before the Shenwu Grand Convocation, it's only an appetizer at most. The peak combatants of Shenwu World only care about the Grand Convocation, the grand event to compete for the title of the Five Emperors. Half a year before the strongest King Realm competition, more and more people came from all over Shenwu World to the holy city of Five Emperors. They were all invited to participate in the strongest King Realm and Emperor Realm competition, as well as the grand meeting of God Martial Emperors. Today, there was still 1 month before the strongest King Realm competition. At this time, the holy city of Five Emperors was already filled with foreign King Path Secret Realm cultivators and beast cultivators. As long as they broke through the Thaumaturgy Secret Realm and entered the King Path Secret Realm, they were all qualified to participate in this competition. Many King Realm and Emperor Realm cultivators from places like the North Snow Empire had been longing to come to the holy city of Five Emperors for a long time. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't come, but this time, the strongest King Realm and Emperor Realm competition, as well as the grand meeting of God Martial Emperors, were all gathered together. So the number of people who came this time was much higher than usual. Every time the strongest King Realm and strongest Emperor Realm competition was held, less than 10% of the people of Shenwu World would come to participate, because the majority of them knew that they had nothing to do with this competition and wouldn't be able to get a good ranking. In other words, if Shenwu World has a total of 1 million King Realm cultivators, then at most 100,000 King Realm cultivators would participate in the strongest King Realm competition. These 100,000 King Realm cultivators would all be King Late-Stage cultivators. Very few would be King Mid-Stage cultivators, and even fewer King Early-Stage cultivators. But the Shenwu Imperial Convention that happens once every 50 years has a lot of participants. At least half of Shenwu World's King Realm and above cultivators will come. This year, with the 3 combined, more than 70% of the participants would participate. That would be a total of over 1 million people. Every time this happened, the scene in the sacred city of Five Emperors would become spectacular. Emperor Realm cultivators were everywhere, and King Realm cultivators were as numerous as dogs. If one were to randomly pick 10 people walking on a street, 9 of them would be existences who had stepped into the secret realm of the King Path. It's easy to imagine that the holy city of the Five Emperors would be in chaos under these circumstances. Luckily, there are over 1 million people entering the city, which isn't too many for the holy city of the Five Emperors. It can still accommodate them, but it's a lot harder to manage. On the streets of the holy city of the Five Emperors, there would be conflicts at almost every moment. Whenever a conflict occurs, the alliance of Five Emperors will send out combatants to arrest the troublemakers, and those who cause serious trouble will be killed on the spot. Even so, the conflicts on the streets still wouldn't stop. This is something that can't be helped. Where there are people, there will be conflicts. Not to mention, the current holy city of the Five Emperors gathers all the combatants of Shenwu World. Combatants have their own pride, so if there's a conflict, it's very easy to get into a fight. This is the stage where all the combatants of Shenwu World gather. Holy city of the Five Emperors. In a courtyard of a certain inn in the west of the city, a group of more than 70 Emperor Realm and King Realm combatants from the faraway Tianqin dynasty resided. The leader of the group was Emperor Tianqin, clad in golden armor. Including Emperor Tianqin, there are a total of 10 Emperor Realm combatants in this courtyard. Emperor Tianqin is late-stage Emperor Realm, and the other 10 are middle-stage or early-stage Emperor Realm. There are more than 70 people from the Tianqin dynasty who came to participate in the Imperial Conclave of Shenwu. It can be said that they've turned out in full force. Emperor Tianqin isn't worried that anything will happen to the Tianqin dynasty after he leaves, because during the Imperial Conclave of Shenwu, the alliance of Five Emperors' teleportation formation is free to use. If anything happens to the Tianqin dynasty, he can immediately return to deal with it. This undoubtedly shows the wealth of the alliance of Five Emperors. The alliance of 5 emperors has an almost endless amount of space attribute alien beast crystals, so they don't have to worry about running out. Reporting to Imperial Father, the matter regarding Long Yu has been investigated. A young man in golden robes strode in from outside the courtyard with his head held high. It is the eldest prince of the Tianqin dynasty. This person is now in the middle stage emperor realm, enough to hold his own in the Tianqin dynasty. Emperor Tianqin sat on the main seat and asked indifferently, "Have you found out? What is Long Yu's cultivation now? Has he really become the personal disciple of the Red Emperor?" "Father, this rumor is probably true." The eldest prince's face darkened. It is said that Long Yu came to the holy city of the 5 emperors more than a year ago, challenged the illusion world of the 5 emperors, and set foot on the 30th floor. His martial Dao talent is extremely high. The last time he appeared was a year ago in the holy city of the 5 emperors, when he was in the middle stage king realm. He killed a sect genius in the early stage emperor realm and proposed a life and death duel with 3 emperor realm experts. What? Emperor Tianqin had guessed that the rumor that Long Yu was the personal disciple of the Red Emperor was most likely true, but he hadn't expected that Long Yu could already kill an early-stage Emperor Realm expert a year ago. Not only that, but Long Yu had even proposed a life and death duel with 3 Emperor Realm experts. The eldest prince explained the details to Emperor Tianqin. Emperor Tianqin frowned slightly and fell into deep thought. After a long while, he finally said, "Let it go. We can't do anything to him now." The eldest prince's heart sank when he heard the emperor's words. "Father, oh father, this Long Yu is the murderer of 6th brother. How can you let it go like this?" Even if this person was the personal disciple of the Red Emperor, his martial Dao realm wasn't very high. It would be difficult for him to advance from the middle stage king realm to the emperor realm in a year's time, right? As long as this Long Yu was still in the king realm and met 3rd brother and 2nd sister in the strongest king realm competition, 3rd brother and 2nd sister would definitely kill him and avenge 6th brother. Emperor Tianqin was not young and had not been able to break through to the emperor realm for many years. His prestige in the Tianqin dynasty was not what it used to be. Especially after the battle with Yuan Xin, Emperor Tianqin had been suffering from internal injuries. Although he had not told anyone, the first prince and the others vaguely knew about it. Therefore, the eldest prince began to refuse to submit to Emperor Tianqin. Emperor Tianqin said to let go. Regardless of Long Yu, the eldest prince would never let go. In another corner of the holy city of the 5 emperors, a young man with an unkempt beard was drinking wine with an old man. The young man possessed a cultivation at the advanced stage of the king realm, and he showed faint signs of breaking through to the emperor realm. The old man opposite him had a pair of large ears that looked like cattail leaf fans, and he seemed kind and amiable. He was an emperor realm expert. The large-eared old man wore a gray robe and hid his martial Dao realm well. Even some of the experts in the Emperor realm who were drinking here couldn't see through his cultivation. "Honored Master, I found out that Shu Chan, Long Yu, and the others are all in the holy city of the 5 emperors. The unshaven young man said to the large-eared old man. The large-eared old man rolled his eyes and didn't respond. That Long Yu was last seen a year ago at the middle stage king realm. Now that a year has passed, he should be in the late stage king realm like me. In addition, he is now the 7th direct disciple of the Red Emperor." The unshaven young man's eyes flashed with hatred when he mentioned Long Yu. "Many years ago, I was chased by that Long Yu and barely escaped by using the Star River Revolution. This time, if he dares to appear, I will definitely deal with him." This person was Tian Xinghe. Many years ago, Long Yu and Shu Chan returned to the conquered Azura County. When they obtained the Azura sacred tree and escaped, they chased after Heavenly Xinghe. However, Heavenly Xinghe used the Star River circulation spirit technique to escape. Who would have thought that Tian Xinghe was wandering outside and had become the disciple of a large-eared old man in the Emperor realm? It seemed that this large-eared old man was extremely powerful. How confident are you in winning if you fight him alone? The large-eared old man asked lazily. In this strongest king realm competition, I came with the intention of winning. As long as he is still in the king realm, I have 100% chance of defeating him. Tian Xinghe exuded strong confidence. Although he is the direct disciple of the Red Emperor, Master's strength is not any weaker than the Red Emperor's. There is no such thing as 100% chance in this world. The large-eared old man smiled. Your state of mind is still not calm enough. This is not appropriate. However, this time, Master will help you deal with that Long Yu. As long as you deal with him, you will be able to focus on your cultivation in the future. That's right. Tian Xinghe drank a mouthful of wine and closed his eyes. He said faintly, there is also Shu Chan. That little girl, I will definitely make her my woman. With regards to this, the big-eared old man declined to comment. He minded his own business and drank his wine. Raising his head, he looked at the towering sacred tower outside the window. At the gate of the holy city of the 5 emperors, a few Emperor Realm cultivators led a group of over 100 cultivators to this city located at the center of the Shenwu world. From the way they were dressed, they were most likely from a faraway empire called the Shenluo Empire. In this group, there were 2 extremely beautiful girls. Both of them were King Realm late stage and were about to break through to Emperor Realm. This was quite impressive for their age. These 2 were Shenluo Empire's desolate god city. Situ Li and her maid, Qian Yuxia, were finally here. Situ Liuli's face was frosty, and anger and hatred constantly flashed in her eyes. She raised her head to look at the city gate, and the scene in the imperial palace's sacred garden appeared in her mind. The 3rd prince of the Shenluo Empire was so elegant and handsome, but he was killed by that Long Yu's sneak attack. It wasn't just Situ Li. The group of over 100 people all had gloomy expressions on their faces, because the Shenluo Empire's strength had greatly declined. They were only slightly stronger than some of the empires. The main reason for this was that a year ago, Long Yu went to the Shenluo Empire to explore an ancient ruin. That ancient ruin had buried more than 10 of the strongest Emperor Realm cultivators in the Shenluo Empire, including the Emperor of the Shenluo Empire and the Prime Minister of the Shenluo Empire, including the desolate God City Lord, Situ Kong. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.